Hello, everyone. This is Apostle Babe Linda James, and Matthew has joined me again this week. And tonight's going to be kind of a free for all. I'm open to any questions you want to ask me personally, and any subjects you want to bring up. Pretty much, if I hear of a subject that's really uncomfortable for me, I'm probably going to pass on it. Don't take it personally. Maybe I'm just not up to it, but for the most part, um, I'm thinking there's a lot going on here in the United States. I know for me, this week has been a week where I have put things off, and I usually get this way when I'm on overload. So I look at it as being irresponsible. But what Matthew reminded me of before the show started, what he picked up on when I told him that, because I always do this hello, how did your week go kind of thing. He picked up on I was actually setting a boundary. So I was caring for myself by doing this. And, um, so when you have friends and you say things to them, you let them know about this, that, and the other, they might pick up on stuff and be open to hear it because, if it rings true to you, you might be showing some growth that you didn't even realize you have made, which is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's nice to be able to reflect on the journey that you've been on and reflect back to how you might have handled things years ago and how today you have more wisdom. So you would probably handle it differently, with more wisdom. So kind of give yourself some grace on some of the stuff you've done in the past that has just been, you look back and think, what was I even thinking? It was probably lack of wisdom. And the thing about high controlled, high demand groups is, or an abusive relationship, they want to make sure, they want to infantile you, put you in a position of being a child to where you become totally dependent upon them for pretty much everything. So it's not easy to grow. You'll get a lot of pushback if you're trying to grow. So for instance, if you were wanting to pursue some self-interest and an elder might have suggested for you not to do that, because you'll have plenty of time to do it in the new system. What's more important today is kingdom interests. That helps you become more dependent on the organization, more dependent on the directions of the leadership, which would come down through the elders and how they direct us, and less dependent on your choices. So, ask yourself about that. So, when we first start to assimilate here in society at large, we do plenty of things that are socially unacceptable, but we usually have no clue it's unacceptable. Okay. I'm laughing because I literally have to laugh at myself, the things I've done that I can look back on and just totally regret, but that's where my head was at the time. I was, just trying to swim out here like, what's that fish's name? Nemo. Nemo was very, very naive in that cartoon. So they would be like swimming, 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 and then she'd do something and be very naive. So I was very naive. When we leave the organization, unless we've established some friendships and some places to go, besides our association with Jehovah's Witnesses, it's going to be extremely foreign to go out into society at large. We were taught that they are all under the influence of the devil. Not only that, when we leave, we've been indoctrinated to believe that we've left Jehovah and gone and joined the devil in his endeavors, the things that he's trying to establish. Like we've gone on to the devil's side and we worship the devil. And that's not necessarily the case unless you are a proclaiming Satan worshiper. I'm pretty sure that's just not the case. And by the way, the Satanic Temple and Anton Levine and all of that, and the Anton Levine Bible that was written and everything, it's not about a whole bunch of rituals that are demonic. It's more about being probably atheist or agnostic and promoting things such as making choices that have you in mind. What is your best interest? So when you hear about they're trying to put the 10 Commandments up somewhere, maybe a monument or whatever, somebody will show up with, this is really bad, a statue with a Baphomet. I think I'm saying that right. With that statue that looks very demonic and everything.
Something like this, Linda James.
Okay, what is it?
Don't know if we allowed these kind of signs on your show.
Probably. I just don't have the full screen up, and I don't have my glasses on. So
okay. Well, then it's probably audience safe then. But yeah, Baphomet is the one with the goat, and then the two fingers being held up, and then of course the opposite with the other hand. Eh?
Yes, and
you need breasts as well.
Yes, so it gives kind of this. Yeah, it kind of gives this transgender vibe, and then there's two children that are at his knees and looking up at him adoringly. So they'll go and put something like that up, which always gets bashed, because it'll freak out the Christians that want the 10 Commandments. Which, by the way, 10 Commandments is Old Testament. Christians, they don't put up like the Sermon on the Mount or the Serenity Prayer, something that's Christian like. They put up Old Testament law, okay? And Jesus came and did away with the Old Testament law, right? At his death, the curtain was ripped, and it took away having to always sacrifice and shed blood because Jesus took care of it. So there's that. And I've always questioned why they're doing that. You'll also hear a whole lot of Christmas is under attack. Even like the Democrats are trying to take Christ out of Christmas. And I remember hearing a lot about that with Starbucks, which is a coffee shop that's got coffee that's pretty much tastes like dirt. Like it's dark coffee, dark coffee. I really like it, but it's dark coffee. So what I never hear a Christian mention is that the emblem on a Starbucks cup is in fact a mermaid. And that as well is a pagan figure. But they'll never mention that all year long as they're carrying around their Starbucks coffee cups. But they'll mention around Christmas time, what I've noticed is they'll do something very generic as a saying on the cup. They might put joy or peace or happy holidays, but they won't usually put something like Merry Christmas. They'll try not to do that. So there's that. But basically, I'm pretty much open to whatever's on your mind tonight. But I was really glad to hear Matthew tell me that he was actually going through something that he found himself actually setting it aside because he knew he would not, his psyche was not up to it. And I was actually really glad to hear that, because the fact that he and I could look at something and like I said, I thought I was just being responsible. No, I'm being responsible and I'm being irresponsible and doing self-care. So there is a good aspect about that. So.
Well, where you had set boundaries, I thought I could go where angels fear to tread. Yes. And I was feeling pretty good on my recovery and pain relief. I mean, for a couple of years, I was not feeling good. I'd had a series of sicknesses that had crippled me, and I was barely able to move, and I was barely able to get some kind of help. And so I was on a lot of pain medication just to get through. And I stopped taking the pain medication because I just didn't need it, which is, I'm going, wow, this is a tremendous breakthrough. Isn't that great for avoiding, toxicity and all of this? And so I went back to some of my recordings, some of my transcripts in JW, where, there had been some real eye of the storm kind of things. And I thought I could tackle it. And it was just very triggering. I don't know if that makes sense to the audience, but it was very, very triggering. And I fed it into AI. I said, yeah, I'm struggling with this thing because I've been training up an experimental AI for some time to kind of assist me. It's a version of OpenAI's ChatGPT, but it isn't the normal ChatGPT. If anybody's interested in that. And I fed into the system some of the transcripts, and I said, oh, where's the point of failure with this? And I detected with the AI, because I do this thesis, antithesis for synthesis thing, which is our disclaimer, right?
Can you give us, when you get a minute, will you give us our disclaimer?
Oh, okay. Well, let's do that now, right? As we're thinking about it. Thanks, Linda James. So our conversation, we are persons who are recovering, we're surviving, we are surpassing, the high control systems. Others are here for interest in similar kind of things. We've got different persons that have got different kind of belief structures. But when we come into these discussions, we just say healthily, please come in with essential critical thinking. That's what it is. And so I say, whatever thesis is presented, let's look at the antithesis for synthesis and have a healthy skepticism. And that's just for, healthy academic framing. And it just keeps the community safe, and it keeps the channel safe, and more of a learning, more of a solution-oriented kind of atmosphere. Does that sound right, Linda James?
It does. And I don't know if I've done this with you on the show before, but I used to always put my makeup on at the beginning of the show.
Well, it just shows you how authentic we are.
Really?
You've been setting the boundaries. You can see that you don't have a show that's more authentic than this, folks. So, let's put our makeup on together.
Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to explain,
Look at the ratings going.
Are they?
They
right
just
on.
Oh yeah.
I know, right? This is the raccoon look, but later it's going to really blend in. Trust me.
So I'm about to copy Linda James. So hair and makeup this week. That's the topic of the discussion. And I thought I would say to Linda James, I need a makeover for my image. What do you suggest?
Well, I really want to keep your beard long. What else would you want to do? I'm seeing you wonder, can we keep it long? Because that's a pretty unique look of yours.
Listen, we've got some comments. Can I read them out?
Yes, please.
Natasha Peter says, you look great without makeup. Wow. Okay. And we get the lipstick
thank you, Natasha.
emoji. And
that's really sweet.
Then Jay Mars, Linda, I sent you Debbie Moore's new phone number on Facebook Messenger. So anybody who's been following Debbie Moore's story and would like to support her.
That's been one of the things I've been setting aside and that I haven't been up to doing is getting in touch with her, even though I really want to. I've been shelving that, but I appreciate that, John, a lot. Thank you.
We also have XJW Curious in the chat. Hello, XJW Curious. Thanks for stopping by.
That is the guy who used to join me every first Monday of the month. His name is Pete. He is my, what did I call him? My XJW hubby. Cool dude.
Pete,
very
Pete,
Yeah,
you
very
are
cool.
missed. There are so many who are talking about you and saying, "Hey, we remember Pete being on the show." So, Pete, it's really good to be with you. And then, of course, we've got Dallas, J Mars. They're all saying hi. J Mars is laughing out loud. Oh, and then there's also Wambale Musa Livingstone. So good to be with you, Wambale Musa Livingston. And who have I missed out? Well, we've got Dallas there, Natasha Peters, I've mentioned, just going back. Oh, Sheila. Sheila, good to be with you. Fixing My Faith, of course, is here because
Yay.
you are hosting. So Vern and Shauna, good to be with you also. And I think that just about brings us up to date. Dallas is speaking to Pete. Pete, you used to do what Matthew doing now on
No, they're Matthew's not my pasta hubby. No, that will take a while. Pete was my
So thanks
pasta
to Linda
hubby.
James for setting the record straight.
I love our Matthew, but we're not at that stage yet. If it's ever going to get there, but it is a compliment, I think. Thank you. I think.
So Pete, you can see Linda James is in good defense of you, and
that's actually what I'm doing. I'm trying not to say Pete has been replaced because nobody can replace Pete. That's really what I'm saying in actuality.
And Pete, I think we're very excited that you are in the live chat.
I'm really glad you're here, Pete. My pasta hubby. I've never called anybody my pasta hubby. Like that's and he'll call me his pasta wifey, and I think it's just too freaking funny. And it's very cool too, because we would banter back and forth when we get on the show. And we have each other's phone number and we banter on the phone even. We have our disagreements but we also have great respect for each other. Like he was very encouraging to me for my channel, and I was encouraging him or encouraging to him for his channel. He has XJW Curious, and the other channel it wasn't agnostic, it was atheist XJW, I believe. Correct me if I'm got that wrong.
Linda James, I found it refreshing to hear that you managed to put in the boundary, whereas I kind of got a bit fried. But my intention was, of course, to go back and see if there are some problems that can be solved or some ways to be able to deal with these liabilities and these ways that abusers protect themselves. So I'm always looking for ways to deal with things and reset statutes of limitations for persons that are seeking justice. That's my motive. But you were also going into some... Sorry, let me not cut you off.
I was going to say, I've noticed this about you from day one, that you are about justice. That's what I was going to say. I noticed that right away. So I was just confirming what you're talking about.
Well, thanks for that. You were talking about some pretty interesting things like the Starbucks siren, and
yes.
It's like you were going into duality as well, because you had mentioned Church of Satan, and I think a lot of persons misunderstand that. Of course, there's different aspects of that that can come up, and there's theosophy as well that could anchor us. But the Starbucks siren, it's the maritime mythological figure, right? Comes from old seafaring imagery, so it's not from a religious or occult directive. Of course, unless of course we don't know the history or we have kind of feared to go into what that's all about. But those symbols like Starbucks, the siren, it comes from historical and artistic traditions. But what matters for survivors, if I can be so bold to mention, Linda James, is not decoding logos, but understanding how real power and archetypes, for instance, these can control or operate in our lives. And being informed about these things can give us power, can help us to navigate. So yeah, it's very easy after high control religion or high control systems, even if it's governance or institution, whatever it is, high control religion for us, we can see meaning everywhere, and that's not a bad thing. But healing usually comes from learning how authority, fear, obedience, symbols in this case, were actually used on us. So yeah, it is a very good segue or entry into looking into trauma-informed insight. I was very triggered this week, and you were able to put in a boundary in place. I tried to put in boundaries as well to try and get my footing again, but I was very, very disturbed. But that's just normal for the environment in which we live in. These things happen, and it's a work in progress. So after spiritual abuse, we can say that the mind often becomes hyper alert to symbols and
And it's not uncommon to be hypervigilant, meaning a cup could drop or something very hardly making any sound, and it will startle the hell out of us, like traumatically, like we just got punched or something. This is a very common thing for us. It is.
Yeah, I had a visit from persons that brought me a gift to
I remember
eat.
You saying that. Really?
Yeah, but no, it happened yesterday, and the persons were saying that they were exhausted in visiting me, and it wasn't a great vibe. And I said, I don't ask you to visit me. I haven't. If you want to do something good for me, that's up to you. I'm making no demands, and I'm not imposing anything upon you. In fact, if anything, I'm not really wanting anything from you.
Did you invite them over, or did you know they were coming over? Or did they show up unannounced?
Yes, and so I verbally put in the boundary that you were not necessarily essential. You were not called for. You came in. And if anything, you've put the burden upon yourself. It's not me that's created the burden. You've created the blame shifting.
You see that blame shifting? Do you see the blame shifting they were doing?
100%.
That's what our subject was last weekend. Oh my God. Woo!
Yeah. You got it 100% correct. Yeah.
Right on. You recognize that, and you gave it back to them. Said, I'm not going to hold that.
I said, I did use apology. I said, I'm very sorry about your situation, but I have made no demands upon you. So if you are here, you're here because of your own reason.
Mm-hmm. I think that's beautiful.
And I've got my boundaries here. So if you're going your way, go your way. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
And they did.
I would be apologetic too, because that helps me get my message across of, I'm handing this back to you. I'm not going to receive this and hold it and feel guilty for it. Because
I
something
think the
you've
reason,
brought about.
Sorry, Linda James, I got caught there.
I was saying this is something you brought about. Like they were telling you that they kind of felt exhausted from hanging out with you, right?
Yeah.
Or being around you.
From visiting me, from coming and bringing me something that I never asked for.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't ask for your spontaneous visit. Didn't ask for your gift. I am appreciative. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. But I was making no demands upon you. Still don't make any demands. And if my presence, which I haven't said anything, just my being present and my putting in a boundary is triggering you, well, please, by all means, do what you need to do. And I'm not telling you to do what you need to do. I'm just going, I haven't requested this thing. But it was still exhausting, and it was very, very triggering because I'm going, what's the agenda? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? Why can I feel or sense this tension, even though very, very little was said, but I feel that very much was communicated. Yeah, because there was an infantilizing. I know what that was all about. It was about a demonstration or a flex of an imbalance of authority. That was what it was.
Yes, we're the teacher, you're the student, we're here to educate you. You're not in a position to tell us anything educational because we're superior in this area.
Yeah, and it also gets framed as, oh, it's our care. We have got to care for you. We have got love. I go tainted love. So I've got
tainted love.
Yeah, what's it, Marilyn Manson? But that was a remix, wasn't it? So I also think of Coneheads because they used the Tainted Love song
from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. So I hope that's coming back to what you were thinking about, but you were talking also about Church of Satan. What persons call Satanism is not one thing. It's very different from the fear-based systems that we had in the abusive part of Jehovah's Witnesses. And I say abusive side because I think that's where we also differ slightly. I talk about the wheat and the weeds, and I go that the weeds actually seek out areas of control and might not necessarily have resolved habits and have a predisposition in my discovery and in my circles towards abuse. And they seek out others in the power systems that they set up or the cliques that they set up to shield themselves. Like, for instance, they might have
just a minute, Matthew. Let me interrupt you. Pete has joined us. Pete, hello. This is Matthew. And Matthew, this is Pete.
Hello, Pete. Didn't see you there and was rattling off, but great to be with you.
How you doing?
Takes me a little while to catch up. Sometimes I've got a bit of a latency, but good to be with you. And it sounds like you've got a real big fan club here. I've heard about you in our gossip on Linda James, but it sounds like you are somebody who's really missed, and that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah, he is. I've had people in the comments.
I pop up every now and then.
Yes, you do. Can you turn your volume up a little bit more, Pete? Because you sound a little far away. So far away. My whole life's a song, I know.
Let me see what I can do here.
Earlier today, I watched a gal. I watched a video of a gal. Actually, I'm going to let you chime back into what you were talking about, and I'll bring this up later.
It's just to support you, Linda James. And I think, Pete, the other thing too is I'm going to defer to your experience because you've been doing this a lot longer. And I think you are more together with this thing, if I can boldly say that, or that's my sense. So I think I'm going to say a lot less, but it was just trying to support what Linda James was talking about with these different viewpoints. You can come in this space and have differing viewpoints and not necessarily always agree. And that's part of the antithesis and the synthesis process, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Is this any better, Linda?
It is, yes. Audience, can you guys tell if it's any better?
Pete, you're sounding richer. So it's improving. I don't know if you're able to boost it just a little bit more, but it's starting to come through richer.
Yeah, I'm speaking more at the computer.
Okay. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah,
the last time.
It is the first of the month, so.
That's right. Almost the first of the month. You're right.
So I had to pop in, see my apostle wifey.
See, there it is. I love it. I love it. So, what's been going on with you, Pete? Because I'm telling you, people have missed you, and I've just kind of been like telling them things you've told me, like like you've told me, I just don't have anything more to say, and
I mean, I
well,
sit here and I see what's going on, in the world, and I got my opinions about it, but I lost my desire to engage with people about it,
yeah. Our
Uh,
last conversation was totally disagreeing. Like we really had a hubby wifey quarrel. It was like
well,
bad. It was way bad. But I know that I know you love me, and I know I love you. So that's that. I didn't think that was going to change.
well, hey, that's part of the vows, right? Richer
Yes.
for richer for poor, for sickness and health. We're there through thick and thin, no matter what.
Whether they see it my way or not. Yep.
Hey,
Like that. Exactly.
We're living in a world right now where people seem to forget that we can discuss things. There seem to be two groups of people in the world, and right now I try to avoid both of them. But there's the group of people that want to keep discussion open, and then there's a group of people that, if you don't agree with them, they want nothing to do with you.
Yeah, and see, I don't want it to be that way with you and I.
Yeah,
I still want to have things to do with you.
Coming from a cult where we weren't allowed, we were told if they don't believe what we believe, that's it. You cut them off.
Yep.
So if I come across people who have that type of mentality, I just, okay, I'm walking away. And it keeps my stress level down. With my cardiac history, I can't afford that much stress.
Yeah.
Or at least unnecessary stress.
Exactly. And I want to bring out that there's a difference between intentionally shunning someone, as in punishing them because they don't see things the same way as you, as opposed to moving yourself out of a situation that you recognize as toxic. Okay? So you move yourself away from it. That's self-care. That's healthy to do. It's different. It's more for your own self-care. The other one is for punishing. So, there's a difference there.
Yeah. I'm getting older. I'm getting to be a much grumpier old man than I ever thought I would be.
Isn't that a trip?
Yeah. And and I find that my zero tolerance has really grown exponentially. So, that there are 7% of the American population actually believes chocolate milk comes from brown cows.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I don't want to deal with that 7% of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just try not to put myself out there so I don't have to discover them.
It would really ruin your cha-cha if you did find a few brown cows that did dispense chocolate milk, wouldn't it? That would be a drag. That would be like, oh no, I got to relook at stuff.
But no, I've been, I keep going to my doctors, and actually the last doctor's visit, he told me that all my numbers show that I'm the healthiest I've been in 30 years. And I said, well, I sure as hell don't feel like that.
Oh, wow.
Well, I guess they say the numbers don't lie, but I'm questioning that.
I would too. Especially if you're not feeling well.
Yeah. Well, I guess they don't have numbers yet for things like arthritis.
Oh my God, I know.
Linda James, can I address Pete if he's comfortable with some of my little points and things?
Yeah, sure. You okay with that?
What you got, Matthew?
Okay.
Well, Pete, I just wanted to say it's really encouraging when different voices and, XJW or JW Emergent or however persons want to label themselves, and they can come together, because I think survivors can benefit when there's a collaboration instead of competition. And I have come across your channel over some time, and I've found it to be a personal help for myself, because it's normalized essential critical thinking, especially after facing an abusive situation or a situation where you've got a high control religion or institute that's endeavoring to protect itself from liability. And it's very, very powerful for persons that are waking up or that are trying to navigate through the complexities of these things. So just having a person like yourself who's candid is very, very welcome, I've got to tell you. And it just signals credibility. It's not over elevating. It's just something that persons are drawn to. I'm drawn towards that kind of thing. And so when you're talking about, being grumpy, I see Sheila resonating with that from UK in the comments. It's a very human moment to be able to experience together, and it creates a lot of depth for me and a lot of persons. But as we get older, our tolerance for misinformation absolutely can shrink, because a lot of us go back towards looking at our environments where we were badly controlled, where just basic critical thinking wasn't encouraged. So something that looks like ignorance is actually deliberate conditioning for the purpose of exploitative control. And I don't know if that frames it correctly, Pete.
It's exactly what it is. Just on a brief side thing, Linda knows this. I used to be a songwriter, and only recently have I actually started, dabbling with getting back into it.
Have you really? That is so
Yeah.
cool.
And it's kind of funny because one of the ideas that I was toying with, was an idea about how the public and public perception is entirely up to what the media presents. Because we seem to be a headline society now. Nobody reads the stories anymore. They just read the headlines. And, headlines can be very deceptive. And the skill of critical thinking, of, asking questions, has really become a lost art. And so when you have a society where, everything is the attention deficit society, that's like long form stuff on YouTube has kind of fallen to the wayside, whereas the quick hit stuff on TikTok is, what's getting the views.
Yes.
That's because, people don't want to sit there for more than 60 seconds to, to take anything in. It's really ridiculous.
I really like the long form ones though.
Absolutely.
And then every week we do a long form one here, But
Yeah.
I'm listening to it, maybe doing something else, and I really enjoy hearing it. I kind of treat it like a podcast.
Exactly. And I think that's why we're starting to see, people are really walking away from the news channels because when you look at especially the broadcast news or the cable news, there's no more news. Everything now is just political opinion.
Would you call it propaganda?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
You have to understand that 95% of all of the media stations and outlets are owned by a handful of people.
Right.
And so all these stations and all these publications, they're only broadcasting what their owners want them to promote as an agenda.
Yes.
The days of Walter Cronkite coming on our TVs and telling us, here's the facts and that's it. Those days are gone.
You're right.
Those days are long gone. The only way you can find any true, journalism is to go on long form places like YouTube or, whatever, and find independent journalists who are doing things, and you can tell the objective ones and you can tell the biased ones. You have to watch them both just so that you can decide.
I was just going to say I'd look at both sides, Democrat and Republican sides, and also like far right and far left.
Right now, it's people keep trying to divide things, left and right or Republican, Democrat. I don't even think that's where the divide is anymore. I think the divide is getting to be, patriotic or anti-American.
How so?
Well, you look at the things that are being protested, and a lot of the things that are being protested, they're protesting enforcement of the law, which is very un-American. They protest. There's protests going on that the people doing the protest can't even tell you why they're doing it. It's just because it's a visceral reaction to something. But they can't even articulate it. When you put a mic in front of their face and say, why are you here? They just repeat something that they heard on the news. I saw a video, I think it was Sunday, where a reporter was going around on a college campus asking college students how they thought Trump did in the State of the Union address. And, 99% of them were like, oh, it was terrible. He wasn't articulate. And it's like, well, the speech still isn't for 2 more days, but thanks.
Busted.
And then there was like, out of all the people they talked to, there was only one student that said, that's not till Tuesday.
Yeah.
And they're like, congratulations.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so but I started writing this song, and one of the things that I referred to was, back in like 1991 when CNN did what was supposed to have been a live report from Beirut, and it turned out they were in a green screen studio in Atlanta. So I this is like, ever since then, you have to kind of question what you see on the news.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. And I've never looked it up.
Yeah, it's still out there on YouTube.
Linda James and
and
Pete, we've got a few comments that have come in. Can I read a few just to catch up a bit?
absolutely.
Yes, please.
So we've got Dallas, who's a really great supporter and a presence that many enjoy. I enjoy Dallas's presence. He says, Pete, how can 7% of Americans be so unintelligent and uneducated? I would suggest by design. Okay.
Yeah.
We've also
You
got
would think.
JW. Sorry, Pete.
He said you would think that would be a very unrealistic stat, but unfortunately, it's true.
We've also got JW Suicides that have joined us. So many are greeting JW Suicides.
She's an OG.
Haven't
Old
talked
school
with her
OG.
in a dog's age.
Yeah. Welcome.
Natasha, greetings to Natasha. Natasha's got a message for you, Pete. Says, too bad for you, Pete. We have all the good doctors in Canada coming from the States. So there's a message to you. And then, of course, greetings to JW Suicides. We miss you. And then JW Suicide says, thankfully, looks like the Canadian MAID program is falling apart in the UK. Isn't that interesting? I think the MAID program that they're referring to is in terms of end of life. Is that correct? Is that what the MAID program is? I think it is. Happy Thoughts says, what is the MAID program? Happy Thoughts, it's when they take a look at somebody who is perhaps in a very painful state where they don't believe there is going to be good recovery, and they say that it's too ethical to continue, then the MAID program assesses that individual and may, I don't know if this is safe to say it, but it's just a definition, but they might aid them in euthanasia legally. So that's the MAID program. Of course, I'm open to correction in the comments, but I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with. Is that a UK thing?
It sounds like it is done in Canada by just going by the comments there.
Yeah.
Sheila is in the UK and she's saying, what is the MAID program? And Sheila is pretty with it with what's going on in the UK. So I'm not quite convinced that it exists there. I'm going to go quiet and look it up on the internet. Can I do that?
Yes, I was just good because I was doing that. But I like that you're doing it because I'm looking up the CNN stuff. The video debunked CNN blue screen, green screen hoax. And this is an article from Skeptics. And let me just check on the authenticity of this page.
So while you do that, Linda James, I've got some stuff in from the Google AI about MAID. I'm just going to read it out loud, if I may, but it is to do with what I think it is. I'm not sure what's going to be triggering for the channel, but medical assistance in dying is a legal regulated process where a doctor or nurse practitioner helps a mentally competent, consenting adult with a grievous and irremediable medical condition to voluntarily unalive themselves. I think that's the way we could put it. Often to alleviate severe suffering. It involves administering medication either intravenously or orally, and is primarily recognized in Canada and certain US jurisdictions. So I don't know if that helps the audience. It helps me understand what's being spoken of, but I think that's exactly what it is, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah.
We are so much more informed today because we can Google things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's one good thing about AI. Doesn't take long to verify things.
I like looking at AI's definition because it'll usually show up on top, and then I'll scroll down some more to see what different articles are what they're saying, and yeah, I just kind of have to use my own what seems right from what I know so far and what I'm gaining from what I'm reading at this time. Natasha, do you remember the day on this show, Natasha? Because Trump has declared the Gulf of Mexico being the Gulf of America, right? And I asked you to look at Google and see if it says Gulf of America where you're at, because you're in Canada, right? And people here in the United States, when we look up the Gulf of Mexico, it does say the Gulf of United States. But when you looked it up, it did say the Gulf of Mexico. So the things that we have that we're seeing is definitely different than, so there is censorship that's happening. My daughter told me that the nurse that was killed by ICE, she said that his head was blown off and that there was film of that. She had seen it. And so, but we in the United States have not seen that. So, I mean, I didn't look at the link that she sent me, but, you know, it's confirming that there's been some censorship. A lot of times somebody will be on the freeway or something and it's they're trying to be killed by a cop, and just before they're taking themselves out, the camera will look away. That's a courteous thing, you know. So I don't know if this situation that my daughter was talking about might be of that nature, or are they hiding things from us? You know, it could be either one, right?
Well, Sheila says something interesting in the comments. She says, there's so much shocking news emerging. I'm wondering if we're being sidetracked into look over here and not over there.
It's going like this all the time, all the time, all the time. This is strategic. It's strategically being thrown a lot of things at us. You can't take it all in, or you can't spend too much time on it and still stay up to date.
Yeah, then we come back to the cognitive bandwidth thing again. Pete, are there times that you just want to hang out and not necessarily engage too much cerebrally because it's just been overworked, or do you find that you take comfort in keeping the gray matter firing?
I'm sorry, was that a question for me?
I think I put you on the spot, but didn't mean to do that, Pete.
No, I was reading some comments, so I kind of missed what was going on.
Pete, where's your mind at? You know, this is pretty much free thinking, and it doesn't always have to necessarily be in one particular way. What was on your mind there with the comments?
I gotta shut the comments down. I gotta shut the chat down. Hold on.
Okay.
He's recognized.
I get distracted very easily. You know, the old proverbial "Ooh, squirrel."
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, you have my undivided attention. What was your question again?
Well, was there anything in the comments that had drawn your attention there? I think there was a lot that's flying towards you here. We were kind of talking about several things, but Sheila was talking about distractions, interestingly enough. You're saying there's so much shocking news emerging. She's wondering if we are being sidetracked into look over here and not over there.
Oh, everything is a diversion, it seems. You know, it is so easy to overwhelm yourself. You know, it's you know, the whole concept of rabbit holes. You see one interesting little tidbit, and then you start to investigate it, and pretty soon you're in a whole new world, you know? And it's so, and I pride myself on being observant about things. And so I kind of realized that there's a very easy way to spot when, for instance, the government is going to try to distract us from something big.
Mm.
And I know a lot of my theories sound crazy to people, but they are hard to disprove. So my theory is if the government is really getting ready to pull something big on us, McDonald's releases the McRib sandwich again.
Ooh,
It's October. Okay.
that's interesting.
Right? Because
Yeah.
nobody has ever said, I got a great idea on how we can solve all the problems of world peace and hunger. But before I do that, I'm going to go grab a McRib, because once you eat a McRib, it takes away your desire to do anything.
Oh,
See?
oh, that's deep. Yes. Oh,
You
that
can,
is
you
deep.
can be the most motivated person on earth, and once you have a McRib, all that stuff goes right out the window.
You are right.
So was McRib developed by Army with all of those offcuts and animal material basically put into a slurry, right? And
No, I think the McRib might be the same kind of discovery as like Viagra. See,
Okay.
Viagra was originally supposed to be a blood pressure medicine.
Mhm.
Are you really
But-
comparing the big? Oh, never mind.
Well, no, just as far as the intent versus the outcome.
Okay, gotcha.
Because
I was gonna say
Viagra was
you know,
supposed to have been like a high blood pressure medicine, but they found that one of the side effects,
exactly.
of course, was blood pressure in a certain part of the body.
12 o'clock.
Yeah. So and that's where how they decided to market it. Now, I think the McRib was probably, McDonald's trying to come up with a new product, but the government probably discovered at some point that, gee, when people eat the McRib, they just stop caring about things and have no desire to do anything. So this would be a good idea if we could tell McDonald's, only release this when we tell you to.
That's I can't even argue with this. This makes so much sense. It really does. It really does.
Well,
that's-
Sheila's reminding us of Soylent Green. She says, I've been
Thank
watching
you.
a couple of... okay.
Yes. Have you seen it, Matthew? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I know Soylent Green, yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes. Now see
So she
what
said-
you go ahead.
Sorry, Linda James. I always get caught on the latency, but let me stand down. Sorry.
I would like you to read Sheila's message, please.
Okay. So Sheila, also known as Happy Thought 77 in the UK, says, I've been watching a couple of channels discussing the rubbish that's in our food. Not surprised so many people are sick. The film Soylent Green is being enacted. Yeah.
Oh my.
JW Suicides chips in, says in the UK, the water between England and France is called the English Channel. In France, it's called La Manche. And then Natasha says, I had to tell my family to let my mom go. She made me promise I followed my word, not easy. I think that's in reference towards, frailty care and end of life matters, and coming back to the MAID reference. Yeah. Dehydrated nurse coming with the medical point of view. It came out this week. Many candies have arsenic in them. Could that be a reference to perhaps M&M? Yeah, there's these candies that have got these poisons that are in them or not good for us, and it comes back to what Pete says. It's the release of McRib. Whenever we want to, make people not care about whatever they want to change as policy or as institute, hey?
Yeah, McRib is like an injection of apathy.
Jay Mars chips in. The government distracted us for decades since September 11, 2001. Yeah. So coming out of high control religions or institutes, it makes us quite aware of these psychological, if you want to say, tricks, eh?
We can be sure that psyop. Yeah, we could even call them a psyop.
Psyop, eh?
So, like Pete was talking about, Viagra came as a side effect for high blood pressure medication. Now, women have this thing that they can put on their eyelashes that was once glaucoma medication. And one of the side effects of this glaucoma medication was the eyelashes grew longer and darker. They became darker and longer. So now they sell that medication for women to grow their lashes longer, and it makes them darker.
Yeah, there you go.
Same kind of thing.
And it helps with your glaucoma too.
Yes, exactly. It's expensive. Now, Matthew, I can remember on a previous show you were talking about McDonald's and the lettuce and implying that out by where you live, did you imply that some of it was laced? Or did I hear you wrong?
No, I was just saying that the lettuce that we have nowadays doesn't have the psychotropic potency that it used to have. And Dallas, you know how he talks about what he's eating, and we kind of have some fun with him because he tells us, oh, I'm eating this now, or I'm eating that, or whatever in the comments. And of course he says, I hate McRib and wouldn't eat one. so yeah, he's drawn the line. But when you're talking about the lettuce reference there, Linda James, in Zimbabwe, out of necessity, we were eating all sorts of things from the bush. We were eating blackjack. I'll give you the African names: Mudumbi, Mapudzi, Bambaira. These are like sweet potatoes and yams and roots that are coming out of the ground. And I was growing sweet potato, taking 3 months for it to grow, just because the economy collapsed. So you would go to the bank and you'd be restricted for how much money that you could pull out. And of course, then when you did pull it out, it was devalued by half. It was just, incredible thing. So we just lived off subsistence, sustainable agriculture out of necessity. But when that happened, we started to realize the potency in the food that was coming out of the ground, just from eating something like ginger, for instance, and the potency that was there. And when you were talking about lettuce, you got heirloom tomatoes, for instance, but the lettuce that we have now doesn't have the psychotropic or nootropic compounds that it had in the past.
Are you calling marijuana lettuce? Because I've heard that as a
actual lettuce, the same thing you'd put on McDonald's hamburger. Sure.
Okay, yeah. I did not know.
Not talking in code.
Okay, this is the first I'm hearing about psychotropic anything with lettuce. Am I saying? I don't even know if I'm saying that.
yes, it had a very powerful effect on the brain in its original form, and now it's been so engineered that it doesn't have any of that potency, like a lot of foods. But we were talking about the sand people that are here down in South Africa, or the edges of South Africa, going into Namibia, for instance, and it looks like we only have 100,000 left. And if you're talking about persons that are in danger of disappearing, where you could say that it's rootstock genetics of humanity, there's a very interesting peoples that are endangered. It wasn't so long ago, in like 1950, that they were exterminated and treated as vermin. You could get a permit to shoot these people as being non-human. Of course, that's changed in modern times, because you go, oh, isn't that so barbaric that 100 years ago, or less than 100 years ago, that was going on. But actually you discover, well, with trespassing laws, you've now got a people who are living off the land through roots and scavenging and knowing how to live off the land and what root does what, that many of these people are driven out of their home territories. They don't understand boundaries like Botswana or Lesotho or Eswatini, these boundaries that are put up. And they don't understand that, if you kill an animal, for instance, to eat it, that might be considered poaching, and that the penalty for that is to get a bullet from some ranger that's been equipped. So a people that not so long ago were 200,000 has now dropped to probably, and I'm open to correction, 100,000 or less. But what is the problem? Why is this a people that is targeted? Because they're a sovereign entity. They're not governed by institution or governed by the Western governance models that permeate Africa. And so they become a problem. And it's largely to do with the food that they eat, which now gets their brains working. Because if you or me were to join these people, they'd say, well, you stink, Linda James, or Matt, you stink.
Would. Yeah, we probably would.
Yeah, you're frightening the animals away. You are a danger to yourself, and you're not very good for the tribe here. You kind of defeating the means for us to survive, because you're chasing all the animals away because they can smell you. And it's that kind of thing. And you're going, well, where have you got your education from? Well, they've got the education from oral tradition, but also the fact that their brains are working correctly and they're in touch with the environment, that their senses aren't dulled. They can more in tune. And so they're walking around barefoot and without much clothing, and you could say, well, basically naked. Your Zulu tribe in KwaZulu-Natal, they basically go around with very little covering on. The women go around bare-breasted in the streets. And so from a Western point of view, this is quite shocking, but it's holding towards this idea of the lettuce again. Because if you can take the food that is naturally coming out of the ground and you're realizing that it's there to equip the mind to be able to think and the senses to be able to awaken, this is exactly what has happened in governments with Pete's McRib, because they want to pull a fast one on a docile nation that doesn't know what the heck's going on. I sort of sense I've been talking for a long time. I'm going to shut up now.
You're right. I mean, that makes perfect sense. That possibility makes absolutely perfect sense. I haven't looked into it, but I would imagine you have. And just contemplating the thought, would the government do that to us? Oh, yeah. I have no doubt that they would. Yeah. I just have no doubt. I'd have no doubt. I mean, they've given syphilis to African American men without telling them in the past to do experiments on them. Speaking of African American men, this month, February, it's still February, is actually African American month. And we just lost Jesse Jackson, who was Reverend Jesse Jackson, who was somebody that was very into civil rights before he hooked up with Martin Luther King Jr. And they were working together. They bucked some heads a bit, but they still worked together. Jesse Jackson was with Martin Luther King, when he was assassinated, and then self-proclaimed himself that he was taking over what Martin Luther King had started. So I just wanted to give a bit of honor to Jesse Jackson. I went to look into a bit of his history, and again, I was just too much on overload. If anybody wants to join us and tell us a little bit more about Jesse Jackson, you're welcome to. But I just wanted to put in a little bit about that because he died just this month. I believe it was around the 17th. And then a day or so ago, they had his funeral. So he was a civil rights activist here in the U.S. Have you ever heard of, Matthew, have you ever heard of yohimbe, an African bark herb kind of thing? Did you hear me, Matthew? I was asking if, Matthew, if you are familiar with...
Oh, I realize I'm off. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Linda James. Yes, yohimbe, did you say?
Yes.
No, that's not a word or a name that I recognize. No.
Okay.
Pete?
I think I've seen it someplace when I was perusing nutrition labels.
Yes. So
But
usually
I don't recall where or when.
Okay, so it's an African bark, and it gives the same kind of side effects or effects as Viagra does, but it's an African bark. So sometimes people will have diabetes or something, and their circulation might not be happening as well as it used to be. So that's just kind of an encouragement. Check with your doctor if you ever want to take that.
We got very powerful medicines here in Africa, and it has shaped Western medicine. That's a fact. That's what it is. I mean, ibogaine comes from iboga, which is the masculine equivalent, in my opinion, of dimethyltryptamine, or dimethyltryptamine, DMT. So that would be your ayahuasca in maybe Peru or in America. I think that is Schedule 1 drug in America, but you could go to Peru where there's these churches where they give you ayahuasca, and it's a healing medicine. But your African equivalent of that is the ibogaine, which is your pure extract from iboga, which would give you those kind of experiences. It's a lot harsher than ayahuasca, because ayahuasca is more of the feminine. Ibogaine is more of the masculine polarity. But I mean, this gives you an idea of the potency of what goes on here. Of course, the mushrooms, dehydrated milk.
Is that a hallucinogenic? Because like we've heard of somebody when we were on Joe and Fran's show, this one gal was talking about micro doses of something that sounded very much like what you're talking about. Is that?
Yeah, well, you can do microdoses with your mushrooms. I mean, because those are growing out in your backyards, and governments might look at insular societies a bit different. Whereas maybe if you're in the towns or the cities, they would clamp down on those kind of things like psilocybin. Dehydrated nurse, I see you in the comments talking about a mushroom. So no, the ibogaine is different to the mushroom. That would be psilocybin. And coming into Linda James's comment about microdosing, there are programs that are legal here in South Africa, Linda James, where you can go on to microdosing. I was on a program. I don't mind sharing that. I was on a program because of the terrible trauma that I was going through in, the JW community. I was finished. I was full of Bartonella. What else was happening? Oh yeah, I'd had a hypoxia injury, and I had elders just walking in, and I had no boundaries on my personal space, and it was hectic, absolutely hectic what was going on. And I was essentially being coerced because of a congregation leadership that had overstepped their mandate of authority with regards to something that should have been a simple matter to correct, and that was corporal punishment in a place where it is not legal to enforce that. And the branch actually agreed with me in writing, but when I applied their instruction locally, what happened was the local elders pulled out an old outline and said, look, this comes from the governing body. We are creating a double bind to protect ourselves because we can see that legally we've got into trouble. And so we're going to divide even the branch territory to protect ourselves. And they seem to have successfully pulled that off, because this thing got to the governing body level. Because I always trace things down with receipts. I insist upon it, and I refuse to be isolated, although I have been put into isolated situations where somebody has a conflict of interest in the JW leadership, and I just go, well, I'm still going to record this anyway. I'm going to transcript it. If you refuse a recording device, I'm going to transcript what you're saying, and then I'm going to send it back to you so that you've got an opportunity to comment on it, but it's going to create a paper trail. And if you refuse to be accountable for what dangers have happened in the congregation because you've insisted on obedience for something that's wrong and unlawful, and something that even the top leadership under the ARC, Australian Royal Commission, have denounced, we're going to make you accountable. And I'm not going to be your scapegoat, because that's your infantilizing, which you think that I'm going to take part in, that ethically I cannot take part in. And my body is resisting you. My subconscious is resisting you. I can't override those kind of things when I see that there's somebody in a congregation taking off a belt under your instruction and harming a 2-year-old child in front of everybody because they think that they're demonstrating some kind of obedience to a higher power, whereas actually it's just an erroneous human being that's full of ego and is high on their own leadership drug. That doesn't seem like it's something I can actually support. And interestingly, I would get governing body family to participate. I'd say, here's a hypothetical situation. What do you think should be done in a situation where somebody has actually gone against somebody like Jeffrey Jackson, who is under oath in court saying that corporal punishment is off the table, but yet it's being enforced here over years, by the way. This isn't something that has come up just in the past year or something like this. Has been tackled for a few years, or I've been tackling it for a few years with a paper trail. And you've repeated the same thing last year, and it's created trouble in not just South African jurisdiction, but in jurisdictions as far as Ireland, for instance, and many other jurisdictions where it is illegal. And what that has caused now is it's caused a report that's arrived on governing bodies service department, and they're realizing, we've got too many liabilities to deal with. Let's just try and shut this down. So they're using the shunning arrangement, which would typically be used for something like, the more obvious things that persons come into JW saying, oh, I'm going to quit smoking, or I'm going to use JW to get out of a bad habit like drinking or something that I feel is harming me. But that same shunning arrangement is used to boot you out because you've shown a liability that could mean that they have to pay out money or be accountable for.
Right. So the person that brings us reality to the leadership has to be silenced.
Yeah.
And it's rather than going by what the law says, well, you're breaking the chain. This is a well-oiled machine. You are breaking the chain. So it's better to get rid of the chain breaker so that their well-oiled machine can run better.
Yes. But what's really interesting in this case is that the leadership gave instructions to correct the matter. So they committed themselves even more. So the way the religion had been operating is without a paper trail. They like to have things done orally at that level. They like to say, oh no, we instruct you orally to go and do this. They don't count on somebody saying, yeah, but we've been dealing with this problem for years. We're not going to, that's not going to fly. You always talk about the two-witness rule when it goes to Supreme Courts, two-witness rule as freedom of religion. Well, it works both ways. It works from the leadership side, and it works from the side that's observed the abuse or that's coming to you and saying, oh, you insist that we have to phone service desk when there is a case of abuse. And you say that you will not identify yourself on the phone. So what we're going to do too is since you've insisted that we identify ourselves, we're going to make sure that because there has been failure in the past to address this, and we can show you that we've been addressing it very patiently, very humbly, as is expected in JW society, over some years, a paper trail has now been created, which we didn't instigate. You were already instigated that when you replied to us the first time. Then when we took that action and you realized that the liability was coming to you, you've now reversed it. But it's the paper trail has been created because you put young people in place and eliminated older people that knew about the matter. And so we didn't create this mess. You've created it. So you can't even come and blame us and say that we arranged this situation. The fracture is your own doing as you tried to escape litigation or enforcement accountability. Pete, if I'm triggering you in any way, that's my apology. And I don't know if I'm giving you opportunity to chip in.
I'm trigger proof.
That's good news.
That's our Pete right there. He's trigger proof.
I'll tell you what, there was one point that you made that I've been really focused on so I don't forget it. And that's when you said that they don't want a paper trail. And I don't know how much of my backstory you know, but I was baptized in 1970 when I was 9 years old. And when I was baptized, it was at a district assembly. And they had the baptism speech, from the platform at the assembly. And they ask you the two questions, right? Do you, and all those that were going to get baptized, shout yes, and, and do you, blah, blah, blah. Yes, okay. And the reason they do it that way, it's just like shareholders at a business, at a corporation meeting. As long as the majority carry the vote, then that's accepted as a policy or an amendment or whatever. So that's like democratically, this motion passes. And so but here I am, a 9-year-old child. Legally, my view is nothing, but because I'm giving my opinion as a group of, a larger group of people, and it's all being counted as one vote. You see, there's no paper trail.
Right.
So down the line, if I ever decided that I wanted to fight Watchtower in a court or something, I guess, well, I was baptized at 9 years old. Legally, I shouldn't be bound by their requirements or whatever. There's no paper trail to say that.
Yes. Yes. Pete, here's an interesting thing, and I get into trouble for this one. But for a person who's faced abuse that's seeking justice, and this might get a bit complicated, and if it triggers anybody, then please put it in the comments, and then I can avert it or change the discussion. But a person who's faced abuse, the whole premise of JW is that if you listen to what they say and you repent and show that by your behavior you comply with them, then you are afforded the same protections as they do to an abuser who says, oh, they repent and they wish to be protected by this powerful organization that has this legal clout. So let's say, for instance, somebody's been ejected who has exposed a liability through no fault of their own, just by being obedient to the leadership, like Jeffrey Jackson said, no to corporal punishment, which in South Africa would be abuse, or in Ireland that would be termed as abuse. And now they get ejected. They get announced. There isn't even a proper judicial, or what do they call it, elders committee. There isn't a proper elders committee. They just eject the person, surprise, and they're announced to the congregation, oh, so-and-so has been removed. If they now write a letter towards that group of elders, it becomes a legal document. And especially if it's witnessed by, say, for instance, a lawyer, or if you can't afford that, by somebody else who understands the situation, it actually resets the statute of limitations if there is a liability. Because if they deny you access into the religion on that basis, or they deny you a reason for why you were removed in writing, it resets the statute of limitations, because it becomes a human rights violation for your freedom to worship or come back into that religion. As distasteful as that might sound to persons who've exited it on an ethical ground, there might be persons who choose that route to come in for the motive of justice. Pete, I don't know if you've got something to say about that, or if that is very, very conflated.
I was just looking at the comments. Happy Thoughts, mentioned it's no wonder they're telling people, they discourage the older publications. And I have an extensive collection of older publications. I still have the Awake magazine from May 1969 that told me, as an 8-year-old child at the time, that I would never grow old in this system of things.
Yeah.
And every time I look in the mirror, I have to chuckle.
Sure. Pete, those books, I don't know how you feel about it, but they're actually worth a lot intrinsically, besides the fact that they give support to the fact that we were given these kind of ideas, and we made essential life-forming decisions based upon those things.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I was doing my channel, making videos, A lot of it came, from my library of old publications, because I could just point, like, here, right here, they said this, and then, over here, now they say the exact opposite, but then over here, they claim that they've never changed their opinion.
Right.
So if you just look at their old publications, you can clearly see that there's been no consistency. And I did a video on their use of new light. And at the time that I did the video, they had just come out with some more new light. And I'm like, this is the same exact new light that they came out with back in 1940. And it's like, and it's changed 3 times since then. But it took them 60 years, but they finally got around back to what they believed back in 1940.
Yeah. Well, as you were talking about books, I have the writing desk with the organization stamp in it for the 1879 watchtowers going onwards. What I don't have is I don't have Consolation and I don't have Golden Age. And some of the yearbooks, like 1934, you remember the 1934 one, Pete, with Rutherford's letter to Hitler? Kind of.
Oh, I didn't remember the specific yearbook, but I've seen copies of the letter.
Yeah.
In print.
Yeah, those things become like any price you want to ask for on eBay. And why is that so important? Because they've gone to the trouble of eliminating those books. If you try and get those books, you can't. They say to congregants or persons that have passed away, or Auntie Dorothy who's passed away, they might go to the next of kin and say, listen, do you mind donating Auntie Dorothy's library to the museum for JW or to the research department? But it doesn't actually go to the research department. It goes to a skip, gets destroyed.
Yeah.
That's what happens. So I think these books are becoming very, very valuable intrinsically. So like a 1934 yearbook, I mean, if you could even get it, people are asking all kinds of crazy money for these things because it's about accountability. That's what it is. Persons are saying, yeah, like your what was it, 1960 article there. Yeah. Persons have made decisions that have affected their lives, be it paying into, say, for instance, some kind of welfare or benefit as a person retires, or a decision about higher education, which at an executive wave of the hand last year suddenly shifts and changes because of what happens in, say, for instance, Japan, where this idea of education comes under a spotlight, and they're saying, no, we don't like the abusive control systems that are in place to keep your group of people dumbed down so that they're easily controlled. This is kind of like Manchurian Candidate stuff because of what's happened in the Moonies. We don't like it. It's not cool. And so that's what's created the change. No kind of revelation from heaven, no shining light from God's throne. It looks like it's related towards litigation and what's happening as governments start making investigations. So that's why this literature is so important, so that persons can reclaim where they're feeling like, am I going crazy? This is what the policy was just now. And your current religion with your new young elders are coming and saying, no, we never believed in that. They're in denial. There's this incredible dissonance that's happening with your young 20-year-old that's serving on service desk, at the branch, who's compliant and obedient and thinks that they've been given some mission by Almighty God and got down on their knees crying in gratitude. But all it is a test of compliance, almost like a hazing ritual.
It's here in the I'm in Northeast United States.
Okay.
And we recently had a little bit of a snowstorm. And I was talking to a friend of mine. She's like 40 years old. And she's like, oh, this is the worst storm I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I'm like, what are you bitching about? This ain't nothing compared to 78. I said, and she's like, well, the weather report I saw said that we got more snow than 78. I said, some areas got a little bit more snow. I said, but the winds were much worse, and this was only a 6-hour storm. 78 lasted for 2 straight days. I said, these 2 storms don't even compare. But then it's like you have to put it in perspective. I'm 65, she's 40. So this was her storm of a lifetime, but it's not mine.
Yeah.
And so, when you talk to the two of us and you say, what is the storm of your lifetime? She's going to say 2026. I'm still going to say 78.
Yeah.
So the new people in the organization now don't have any idea of what it was like before.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the new ones coming in now have no idea what it's like to keep track of service hours.
That's true.
Right? And the stuff that we talk about at the Kingdom Hall is becoming foreign to them. Like when I first started going to the hall, we didn't have a body of elders. We had a single presiding overseer.
Yes.
And so I can understand why, like, the new wave of elders, kind of have maybe a different mindset than the old school. And, they're letting younger people become elders.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's exactly why. Because, let's face it, this generation, that's under 30 years old is almost entirely lacking in any type of critical thinking skills.
Yes.
Because they're not taught that. They're being taught less and less stuff in education. Education is no longer learning, reading, writing, and arithmetic. The growing number of high school graduates who are illiterate is astounding. What they're being taught is, basically political ideologies.
Were you talking about the chocolate milk from a brown cow mentality earlier?
Yeah. That's one of those little factoids that you come across when you spend enough time on the internet.
Yes.
7% of Americans think that chocolate milk comes from brown cows.
Wow. So I didn't realize that they'd actually quantified it as 7%.
Yeah. There's 23 million Americans. Of course, that's probably like a smaller sample that they extrapolated out.
Sure.
But still, you talk to 100 people and 7 of them say that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. You just have to shake your head.
Yeah.
And during the course of a day, I hear a lot of ridiculous things like that. And, I just smile and say, I'm glad I'm not them.
Pete, you also said earlier on, I caught that you into writing music. I mean, Linda James has got her singing side. I was writing music as a way of communicating a message, but joy factor in recovery, getting some kind of joy through creativity or a creative outlet like that.
Well, I was into music, almost all my life. So that had nothing to do with, the organization. Well, the organization was actually a deterrent. But,
Yeah.
but once I started, leaving the organization is when I got into music, as a serious hobby. But I mean, I've sold downloads internationally of my original music and stuff. So it's something that I just enjoyed doing, and I did it for a while. But like I alluded to earlier, I very much have that ADD mentality where I'll do this for a little while, and then all of a sudden, squirrel, and something else will grab my attention, and I wander off into that direction.
Yeah.
So it's like over the course of my lifetime, I sold downloads internationally of my music. When I got out of music, I got into professional wrestling to the point where I'm in the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. But when I got too physically ill to do that anymore, I got into YouTube. So I just moved from one thing to another. But after 6 years of YouTube, I just woke up one day and I was actually talking to Linda on the phone that day. And, she's like, hey, when's your next video? And I said, you know what? I think I'm out of things to say. And I just no longer, it just kind of, with YouTube in particular, you have to be passionate about what you're talking about. Because if you don't, people know. People recognize when you're going through the motions, and I just didn't want to do that in my videos.
Yes.
So I just stopped making the videos until which day I get that passion back. But
I think fun factor is very important. Yeah. I see Natasha's joined us, Pete. And James is back.
Yes.
Hello, Pete.
Good, Natasha. How are you?
I missed you, dude.
Hey, you know me.
No, I just missed you to hear your voice and the stories, the history. The history that you know so well, and I don't. Yeah, I'm glad to hear you.
Oh, it's always nice to stop in and chat with my old friends.
Nice. Doesn't take anything from Matthew. Matthew's great too, okay?
Yeah.
You're different people.
Well, I hope so. Otherwise, I need to shave.
Oh my goodness.
Pete Rock's an awesome go-to.
Don't
there.
do that. Don't do that.
Well, I think we have a lot of fun together, which is really good. Because that was the other denied thing. If you have any fun, then you got some party poop. What's it? Finding something to rain on your parade, you know?
Oh my God, yes.
Dallas just asked, was I forbidden from taking musical instrument lessons? No. JW's had no problem with you having an interest in music, but they discouraged you from, for instance, joining in a band with worldly kids.
Exact.
You know, if you could, you know, we even, well, I wasn't in it, but there was a group of older teenagers in our Kingdom Hall who had a band. You know, it was
Wow.
two brothers where one was a guitar player, one was a drummer, and there was a third kid who was an organ player. I wouldn't say they were a good band, but they were a band, you know. And of course, JWs loved them because they were JWs and they made what sounded like music. You know, and then we did have a couple of brothers who were, you know, pretty decent, you know, like acoustic guitar players. So, you know, whenever we had like a congregation cookout or something like that, they'd break out the acoustic guitars and, you know, we'd have little sing-alongs. So, you know, there was that. You know, that was okay.
Yeah.
But anything that involved fellowship with the outside world or playing certain songs, you know, was definitely forbidden.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's also, I mean, you have to remember my generation of witnesses, we were told not to play video games because they were demonic. We were told not to even go to like yard sales
Yep.
just in case something we bought at a yard sale was owned by a possessed person,
Yes.
you know. And of course, when, you know, the Exorcist movie came out, oh, dude, we couldn't even walk by that theater, you know. So,
That was
I
a
mean,
bad time for me.
yeah, it was, you know, so it wasn't the musical lessons or the enjoyment of music, but it was the fellowship part of it. And, you know, they didn't want you spending time doing anything that wasn't beneficial to the cult.
You know what? When I was young and stupid and in there still,
I love you.
I left when I was 17, okay? And I got baptized when I was 17 too.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I wrote a letter of disassociation, but that's not the point. We were a gang of young people. They were older than me because I never got along with younger ones. So they were 19, 20, 22 when I was 15, 14, 13. And we were doing we were studying the Watchtower every week, religiously.
Yeah.
And after that, we had something to eat, like chips or, you know, not much, chips and Coca-Cola and stuff. And we were forbidden to do that again because we were listening to worldly music. It was Supertramp.
Supertramp.
Yes.
Take
Wow.
a look at
It was demonic. It was demonic.
The one I got
Mm-hmm.
not much of a girlfriend. I never seem to get a lot. See, that's putting impure thoughts in your head.
There you go.
The organization knew what they were doing by banning music like that.
I muted myself, but you didn't hear me laughing loud. Oh my goodness.
We used to, the teenagers in our congregation used to do the same thing. Friday nights we'd get together. We, went around to different people's houses, each Friday rotated. And we get together and we study the Watchtower, to prepare for the Sunday meeting. And then afterwards, there was refreshments. And then the older ones, those of us with cars, would probably go out for pizza or something afterwards. So there was probably a group of maybe 12 or 16 that would have the actual study. And then there was probably like 5 or 6 of us who go out for pizzas after. And that's where, I had a car, so I was usually driving. And, the elder's daughter was in the car with me. Always make sure that I drop her off last. Her and I had, that few moments that we could talk alone.
Yes.
That's important. It's very important.
Oh, yeah. You
Yeah.
got to make the time when you can find it.
I'm such a sucker for hopeless romantic stories. Go on.
I don't
So
know
y'all-
about romantic, but I've been hopeless for a long time.
Darn it, you ruined it for me. Go back to just humor me and tell me you were. That'll make it.
Was Stairway to Heaven off limits?
I bet you it was in the same days, but I was in Belgium because I was born in Belgium. So I was less than 13 when that happened. It started when I was 9 years old. We had every Friday, all the young people from the Kingdom Hall
Yeah.
went to ice skating. And I was really posh. I was really not good. I'm still not good. But I had to check on my brother. I was supposed to be the snitch
Ah,
because he's 10 years older than me.
that kind of snitch. Were
Yeah.
you chaperoning him?
Are you kidding me? I had my hot chocolate and my chocolate bar. I was happy.
Okay.
I knew he wasn't supposed to drink, but he wasn't driving, so who cares? Who cares? I
Right.
never said a word until my mom died. I never told her. I told her how I pissed in the plants.
Oh, that's
Ah.
okay. That is okay.
She
What's
thought
that,
her plants on the second level of the house. She saw them dying and dying. The more I was sleeping there, the more they were dying.
You slip on the out air, the
No,
patio?
they refused me to go to the bathroom when I had to pee.
I see. Okay. Well, that
I
was
tried to sneak, but they always catch me. So I was aligning the plants, the pots, okay, and I was peeing a little bit in each one, and I had to go back and pee in a little one in each one. Yeah, after a while they died.
Hmm.
That I told my mom when she woke up.
Oh, wow. Wow.
She was laughing. Oh my goodness! Oh, it was you.
Hey,
And I said, you didn't allow me to go to pee. And she was apologizing for that and the other thing. Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
cool.
I didn't have any siblings to tell on me.
You are alone?
Yeah, well, I have an older brother, but there's 13 years between us.
Yeah,
He
that
was out of the house when I was 4 years old,
was
and
he out of the
he was
cult?
never part of the organization.
He was not in the cult. Yeah, he left.
Yeah, so
Good for him though.
yeah, and of course, and Linda knows these stories, but I didn't matter what I did because my mother would never believe I did anything wrong.
This is true.
Oh, you know what? I sometimes I went back from the bus stop, coming back to the house, and I was smelling every flowers on the way. So it took me 20 minutes to come back because I was smelling every flowers, and I told that to my mom. I said, "Stop lying! I can tell you're lying." So I had to tell a lie. I said, "Yes, uh, I was playing with Eddie. We had fun." And then she said, "See, I knew you were lying." She thought I was lying when I wasn't.
Yeah.
I can so relate to this.
That's how JWs are. They want.
That was my experience. Yeah, a lot.
Oh, you too.
Oh my God, yes. Today, when somebody tells me what my intentions are and proceed to reprimand me for it,
Oh shit.
I don't tolerate it. Once I
No.
figure out what's going on, no, I shut them down. And
Oh yeah.
but I didn't used to because I didn't realize it was happening. But today I will.
I know. It's not long since I discovered that. Well, a couple of years, but it's not that long that I discovered that. I'm 58. No, I'm
Yes.
57. I'm gonna be 58 this year in June.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it took me so many years.
I learned a lot in my 50s. Yes. That's very cool.
I
Yeah,
forgot
still
a
in your
lot in my
50s.
50s.
You did what in your 50s, Pete?
I forgot a lot in my 50s.
You know what? I never got to hang out with people from the Kingdom Hall and do what the two of you are talking about, like getting together once a week and doing ice skating or, roller skating or, studying and then getting to do socializing. I was never ever invited to anything like that. So it was very lonely for me.
Yeah, I got invited,
growing
but
up.
it lasted just a few months for each.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't like anyone. They called me like they thought I didn't find out. They called me the girl without a smile.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that was a hard time.
Linda, I was abused since my birth. So
Yeah, yeah.
there's nothing
And
to
you know what?
smile about in there.
I am proud of you though. That the first time I laid eyes on you, it was when you did an interview. And I'll
Oh
never
yeah.
forget that. I'll never, never, never forget that. And I remember watching you. I was digging your haircut. I was listening to you tell your story. And I knew you were telling the truth. Like I had no doubt that what you were saying was
You know what?
authentic. and
I had
truthful.
many messages after that, and everybody said she's telling the truth. You can tell, and I don't know how to tell, but yeah,
So you got more confirmation than just me saying it now.
sure, I had lots.
Good, good.
Yeah,
The way it affected me, I'm sure it has affected many people. Um, and thank you for doing that. Like
oh my
it
goodness.
really I was affected by it positively. And I remember then I've heard you talk about that event and the things around it behind, like behind the stage. things that
I,
worked
wa-
up to
I
being able to
talked to
do that.
I talked to that lady reporter for more than an hour, and they took snippets.
Right. That's pretty common.
Yeah, so I told the whole story. I didn't choose what they picked.
Right. We don't have control over that. But yeah, and you know what? That was pretty brave of you.
You
Thank you
know
for
what? It's pretty brave of the journalist that was there. She
okay.
waited. It was pretty brave from the journalist that was there. We were the first one to go with the signs and everything, the flags. And we had it suits me perfectly. Don't if you're abused, we are there. We can help you. And so it was about sex abuse for kids, and we were the first one to go. But we were the only one who didn't have a camera.
The only one that didn't have what?
A camera. Our phone were dead.
Oh, okay.
And
Camera.
and CBC News followed us. And since we were the first one, CBC News, CBC News is the country. It's not bought by anything else. It's the country. It's Canada's network.
Okay.
And and they followed us and they filmed us even when we got kicked out. And they got kicked out right after. Every journalist, CBC News was kicked out right away. And they waited for me to talk. They knew I was the victim. I don't know how they knew that, but they knew.
Yeah.
Because in Vancouver, we had a silent protest.
Yeah, they had like sections kind of fenced off, right? Where people
No,
could.
we decided that it would be silent. We are Canadian. We don't yell. We don't say anything. We have the signs there. That's who we are. And it worked. It worked because we were peaceful and we didn't say a word. Except that I said to the effing elders, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Don't touch
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
They pushed me.
Sometimes they'll just lay hands on people to start to move them.
And they just love it. Yeah.
And
I
that's
think they
not
can
okay.
sense you. I think they can sense sometimes that you are a victim of a pedophile or something. I think they can sense it, and they're trying to abuse of their power over people who are abused. Mostly.
Could be. I'm pretty convinced that, and I haven't experienced this, but I've heard stories that, during the backroom questioning, I've heard many stories where women will be questioned
Oh yeah.
really inappropriately, and when I hear the questions, it just seems like that would flush up the experience again, which would re-traumatize someone that was abused. So I just don't think that's healthy. But it's, I kind of look at it and think, is it a power trip? Because I've asked some elders, like, why did they do that?
Linda James.
Yeah.
Dallas joined us and he's kind of just switched off a bit, but it's good to have him with us as well.
Thank you for.
Oh, hello, Dallas.
Well, hi there. Hi, Natasha and Pete.
Oh, Dallas.
Well, it's nice. It's great hearing from you again. It is.
Did you miss Pete, Dallas?
we do miss having us join the family here, but he's been with our family for as long as Linda's channel. I think before that he's been
Could be.
part of. I think he's been part of Rick's family as well, the six screen family.
Linda and I first got together on Rick's show.
That's right.
Huh?
I made a comment underneath one of your videos, and you're like, "Is this?" I forget how you said it. The infamous Apostamib. I'm like, oh my god. Okay, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, you know of me?
Yeah.
People know me."
The infamous Linda
Right?
Jones.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was like a compliment like that. So anyways, we just kind of messaged back and forth, and I loved the way he would do his videos, so I invited him on, and we just flowed from there. And you know what? I've really been thankful that, because I've done shows with other people for years now, and even this one guy Daniel, I did shows with him for a while, and then what's his name that he goes by Ricky Bobby, but he's not Ricky.
Eric, you mean Eric?
Eric. Yes, Eric and I.
I love Eric. I
Me
do.
too. Me too. And we see differently about some things too. And it's like when we did the show together, we got along really well. And Pete and Matthew, and I love it when people join.
Jay Mars has been chipping. He says Linda James burned the midnight oil on 6 screens for years.
Yes, I did. I used to start at 9
Exactly.
a.m. and we would end like at 6 a.m. or something. We would go on for hours, and we would get to a point where we were just punch drunk, laughing,
Why?
laughing stupid like.
It's because you're a night owl.
I am.
Not
a
a-
night owl, yes.
Night owl or cats, they're not animals. They're nocturnal animals.
I'm sorry. Say that again. What?
A cat, they're a nocturnal animal.
Yes. That's true.
Why?
That's very true.
Well, I don't know where the 2 hours went.
I know we're already at 2 hours, right?
I thought we just started.
And that's the way it goes with this show often. Every so often it'll drag, but it's just not that way tonight.
Not at all. So, Natasha, listen, I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you enjoy creating?
Creating, I don't know.
I've been planning.
I saved my cat 3 times. He fell from the balcony last week. That's why I wasn't there. I had to look for him outside. He lost his balance. He's getting old, but he's better now. He started eating again
Oh my goodness, good.
and drinking water too. Yeah. So that's why I missed a couple of weeks. But creating, I like to write.
Okay.
When I was young, I was going to be a writer and a journalist in every country that's at war.
Oh, really? You wanted to go on
Yeah.
location?
Yeah.
Wow. I would be too sissy lala to do that. I'm
Oh
impressed.
no, I was dreaming of it. I want to know. I was dreaming about that. I want to
Wow.
know. I wanted to know everything. Why and this and that, and I'm gonna report on that the
That's
best I could.
amazing. That is amazing. I read a book about a Filipino lady that did that. Much of like what you're talking about.
Wow.
And she did it in the Philippines. She was badass, and she was like this petite Filipino, and you're petite
Yeah.
Filipino lady that was just. She was on a mission. She would get in the middle of everything. She would get all kinds of info. She was amazing. Just like what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I would have done. Yeah. But I went to college in arts, but the only thing I wanted to do is taking all the courses in French language and to perfect myself. And I was the first of the class all the time. And when I left, when my parents didn't want to pay for my transport, that was really far away. I couldn't do it by walking. And they cut me off because they wanted me to be a pioneer. When I
Yes.
told my teachers, my professors, that I just told the French teacher,
Hmm.
and they told me, no, you have to stay. You have to stay. We didn't have a student that good for decades.
Yeah, my parents. First off, I actually went to one of those Jehovah's Witness schools
Nah.
for a while. I think it was one semester. I managed to get myself kicked out.
Oh, that must be horrible.
And you know what I got for for discipline? I had to write Psalms 119, all of it. This
All
goes on
right.
for pages, pages. Like when I was that age, I must have been 17.
Oh,
And that was like a discipline thing. Got in trouble. I don't even remember what, but I remember I drew this eyeball and made it look really realistic. I put that on the wall, and that's where I learned how to play guitar. Yeah. And
How's that for pyramid? What's it? One eye symbolism,
it was the side of the eye with the veins and everything. I get it. Yeah. I know.
The great panopticon, yeah.
don't tell me that you drew the wild beast with 7 heads and 3 and 9 horns or something like that.
Mm.
Pete, you know that I've been toying with the Apostle Babe name. Hey, it's named Apostle Babe. This is the plot twist.
He's been
So
calling me
if there's all of these kind of symbolism and prophetic things coming out, don't be surprised.
Okay, so Linda, how did
Which I
your
do take as a
idol look
compliment.
like?
What does my eyeball look like, or my idol? I don't think I. Well,
Well,
I do have a few idols, but
did you preserve your artwork, in other words, Linda James?
no, I didn't. But I
All right.
remember somebody was teaching me how to play guitar, and it was a fellow student. And I remember that day plucking it out and everything, and I couldn't get it. But I slept on it. I slept that night, and the next morning I got up and grabbed my guitar, and I could play it easily.
Wow.
So it was really cool. It was a certain style. There's strumming, but this was like picking at it,
Yeah,
using your fingers and stuff,
yeah,
and doing the chords.
that's beautiful.
It was really cool. Yeah.
Pete was talking about band music earlier. Were you allowed to play Stairway to Heaven, or that was off limits?
No, in JWs, it's elevator to heaven.
Well, you can't play the riff in a music store.
You can't play the riff in a music store? Really?
No, there are certain guitar riffs you're not allowed to play in a music store.
Yeah, like Michael
I've never-
Jackson.
I've never heard this.
Yeah.
Like Michael Jackson, and who is the other one?
It's the type of mentality where no self-respecting guitarist would play that riff in a music store. And there's actually guitarists who have YouTube videos where that's what they do, is go around to different music stores playing the band riffs,
As a form of
Just to see
rebellion?
people's
Just to piss
reactions
them
to
off?
them doing it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I knew a few artists that were playing guitar and the bass and whatever. And the drums too, and that's 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 the first thing they play on an instrument they want to buy. Stairway to Heaven, and there's another one.
Mhm.
I don't remember, but there's two songs that everyone wants to play.
Freebird.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that.
sorry,
Yeah.
I yelled.
I'm
Oh,
thinking
yeah, when you
Barracuda by heart.
when I
These are all great.
when I started to drift away, I got into a garage band, and of course, that's one of the first songs I learned was Freebird.
Oh, that's beautiful.
In high school, I wanted to be a guitar player, but for some reason, it just never clicked in my brain at that point. So this was like the mid 70s. I'd say maybe 75, 76.
That's
And,
that's the
disco was
band
just
that
disco was just getting popular on the radio.
yeah, that's
And
the
I
band.
heard this instrument and I was like, oh, what the hell is that? And they went, oh, that's a bass. And
Yeah.
I like the sound of that, you know?
Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
I went down to a music store. I'm like, hey, you got a bass? And they went, yeah, right there. And I went, it's only got 4 strings. They said, yeah, bass got 4 strings, guitar's got 6. And I said, can I try it? And he's like, yeah. And I went to like make a chord. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, with a bass, you just play single notes. And I went, one at a time. I like that. And so I bought my first bass and learned how to
Man,
play it and got into a band with other high school kids that were learning their bass, instruments.
yeah.
And of course, Freebird was one of the first songs we learned.
But isn't it weird when you are JW to sing that song?
Well, I
Because
wasn't
you
singing. That-
because,
I was just a bass player.
because you wish you are free, you know?
Yeah.
Ah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And then the first album I ever bought. Oh, wait a minute now.
What is it?
I'm going to have to check dates here because there's 2 albums that I'm thinking of.
You can tell both.
I
Linda
wasn't allowed
James,
to have albums. Yes.
am I allowed to
yeah.
put a YouTube link in the comments section for Freebird and Star Wars?
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. That sounds awesome. Yes, please.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it's
First
a
album.
video of the Death Star being destroyed by the Rebel Alliance
Oh my
to
God.
the tune
Yeah.
of Freebird, and it makes it more epic.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
The
Thank you.
first album I ever bought was Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell,
Wow.
which has,
Yeah,
That's-
I know Meatloaf. Yeah.
very, very risque for a JW to be buying
Yeah,
an album like that.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to show it to my family.
Dashboard lights. Is
And
that the
what
one
was
that has-
what was really funny is, so I'm in my room listening to it, and in the song "Paradise by the Dashboard Light," there's a
Yeah,
part
that
of the song. There's a part of the song where Meatloaf is singing. Him and the girl are going back and forth.
That's right.
In the car, and she's like, before we go any further, do you love me? And his reply is, let me sleep on it.
Mhm.
Which is, you could take that a couple of different ways. But my mother
I
comes
can't imagine.
running into my room and is like, what are you listening to?
Oh my God. That wow.
And I'm like, oh, this is Meatloaf. Isn't this a cool song? Like, that beat, And it's like, he's over there saying, "Let me sleep on it." Yeah, no, she-
I'm
she's
tired.
saying, she's saying like giving him an ultimatum, and he's got to think about it. So give him time to think about it. That's
was
not
all-
what he's saying.
He was all, "Stop right there."
Yeah, right, you know.
The dude is tired. It's clear.
Yeah.
He was tired.
You
He
know.
wasn't tired like 10 minutes
He,
ago.
he wants to sleep on it. He's tired.
Okay, yeah.
Right, And in the video, when you see the video, it's obviously what's going on. But
God, I don't think I've
even
ever
just
seen the
listening to it, no, it's let me see.
Yeah.
It's like that just means you want to think about something. Give me some time to think about it.
Yeah.
You know, we were not allowed. I was in Belgium, and Kate Bush became
I
Kate
love
Bush.
Kate Bush. Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
I didn't know you knew about her.
Yeah.
Wuthering
And
Heights.
she was really popular, and we were not allowed because she was looking like a witch.
Oh,
Okay.
Ay, ay. Babushka, babushka, babushka.
yeah.
You know what that is? It's Russian for Meemaw.
Babushka?
What?
Is Ru-
Babushka. It is.
Russian for Mima. Okay.
Yeah.
Mima
from-
being an affectionate name for a grandmother.
They say it a lot in American South.
Yes.
And Papa, it's American Southern thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Sheldon Cooper in Big Bang Theory is from East Texas. Called his grandma Mima.
On the show, yes.
Yeah.
And it was Roseanne's sister. From the show Roseanne, the one that played her sister
Yeah.
is the one that was Sheldon's
Sheldon's
mother. Yeah. And she was like a
Uh,
total Jesus woman. Like that town.
I
that's
love
the
you.
Jesus.
I love young Sheldon. Some of I love her husband and little George and Missy, but Sheldon, he was Mr. Know-It-All, while she was hardcore religious. But at
Yep.
times she would slack sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Sometimes
Yeah.
you'd see her drinking a beer.
Sheldon's mom.
In my book, it's better to be pro Jesus than pro Jehovah.
Okay.
I agree on that. Than to be, but
Thank you, Daz.
well, I think that one that's acting as Murray Cooper. Just think if she was JW acting, she'd be hardcore. Gung ho.
Oh yeah.
Would be great as an
definitely
actor in that. She was only acting a role because she was just so good at it.
Yeah. And the one who played young Sheldon's mother is her daughter in real life.
Oh my goodness. I don't recall who the young Sheldon's mother is, but okay.
Yeah. Well, it's still Mary Cooper, just a younger version of Mary Cooper.
Okay.
And when I first saw the show, I went, damn, they found an actress that's just like, what's her name?
Mary Cooper?
Well, the one on Big Bang Theory. They found an actress just like her.
Her
and then
daughter?
found out it's actually her daughter.
Wow. That was amazing. I remember watching the movie What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Yeah.
And his disabled younger brother was so convincing to me. I thought to myself, where did they find this disabled actor? Like, I mean, I was really convinced that this kid was
Yeah.
not playing a part, but that they literally hired a disabled actor. Like, that's how much I was convinced of this kid. And that's DiCaprio today.
Yep.
That's who that was. So he's been like, and that's when he looked like he was 12 or 13. He might have been 17. I don't know, but He was
Yeah,
amazing.
he looked like the same age as the women he dates now.
I haven't noticed.
Exactly.
I have not noticed the women he dates.
My
This
ex,
is
my
interesting
ex
because
told me a week ago that he just want young woman. I'm 58. He's 59,
and
and
he
he
just
wants
wants
girls not older than 30. He's still alone, eh?
he just wants a younger woman, you know? Well,
When he told me 30, I said, Chloe, my daughter, and
Yeah,
he
well,
helped me to raise her. She
Diane
said,
got it.
I
Lori
said,
Metcalf.
she's 33, dude. He said, Chloe is 33 years. She is. Grow up and own your age.
wow.
He went to BC where I live, and he went to a ski station, but I wasn't able to ever live there. And to be honest, I'm glad I didn't. I had the same week they took a tooth out of my mouth, and yeah, it was painful too.
Yeah, it would have been worse where if you went.
No, but he's okay. He's an okay dude, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my goodness, when he told me 30 years old, I said, Chloe is 33. She's gonna be 33 in the middle of March.
Does he want
Friday the 13th.
does he have children or want to have children?
No, he regrets that he doesn't have any. But we tried for 17 years to have one, and it didn't happen.
Oh wow, okay.
So it might be on his part.
Okay. I
Could
was
be on
saying
mine. I wasn't supposed to have a kid, so
oh, I could have been a
my
blessing in
my,
disguise.
da- my daughter was my sunshine.
Your daughter's beautiful. You sent me a couple of little
Yeah,
clips of her. She's really beautiful.
your daughter's beautiful too.
So I was going to tell you guys earlier, and I'm just now remembering it. You know how sometimes you'll be watching a video on YouTube, and you'll get into the comments, and well, it was a video about somebody that was once a Jehovah's Witness and is no longer a Jehovah's Witness and became a Christian. So I'm listening to this gal's testimony.
Oh no!
And I'm trying to remember who sent it to me. Del Rio sent it to me. So I watched it and I went into the comments, you know, and I can tell there's some JWs in there leaving comments. And I was so, you know, I usually try to pass them up because I don't want to be on there arguing with people. I just think it's a waste of time. But what I notice is some JWs get on there and literally reprimand them. And you literally see and hear the things that they say that is not things that people usually say. Like, you know, look at the demons in their eyes and stuff like this. It's pretty radical stuff, you know. But there was this one commenter that said something to the effect that everything she said wasn't true. And there was already a thread going on. And I had to make a comment. And I did. I said, everything she said was true. I says, how about you timestamp each and everything she said wrong, and then come up with Watchtower literature to prove us, to let us know what the real teachings are. But you won't. I'm sure you won't because, you know, I forget how I said I usually screenshot them too. But I know that something to the effect, I don't think you will. But I really challenged this dude to be like really showing us if he's going to get up there, if he's going to comment and say everything she said was false, I expected him to come up, timestamp it, and then quote a Watchtower or some kind of Watchtower literature, what the real teaching is, if she got it wrong. And I ended it with, you won't be able to find anything because everything she said was true. Was in fact true, is what I said.
Yeah.
So we'll see if this person will ever reply. Probably not. We'll see.
It's
Hey,
great
Linda.
seeing you, Natasha.
Hey, there's Natasha.
Yep.
You finally decided to
Natasha,
turn her camera on.
she in Canada. She in Canada,
Yeah.
and I'm in United States.
I would never be able to tell.
So we get to see each other. We ain't seen Lisa in a long time. She used to come on this show.
Lisa did.
Yes, from New Zealand.
I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, the one that was in the van. The artist that was living in her van. I'm not sure. I have to think about it so I can remember who Lisa is. Oh, I hope you don't slap me if this is Lisa watching the show. Forgive me. I'm trying to retrieve the memory.
You also mentioned Purple. Purple's been a bit quiet. Was Purple having flu or a bit unwell at some stage, Linda?
Something's up because this is like I don't think she showed up tonight, and it seems like it's been 2 weeks now.
Yes.
And from what I understand, the news is not covering Minnesota, but I'm hearing that stuff is still very much going on in Minnesota, but the news is not covering it. And she's out there, and so I don't know what the atmosphere is like in Minnesota.
Well, it's in Minneapolis, but other parts of it, not as much, I don't think. I think rural small town, and most of Minnesota's a different environment than Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Yeah.
Most of it, a lot of Minnesota's pretty as conservative like most of the Midwest.
What is conservative?
Minnesota.
Well,
Yeah,
Trump sent
they-
the troops there because it's a blue state.
And
And he
it
said so.
depends on what area, I understand. The small
Right.
towns
I'm sorry, yeah.
Minnesota, they are more conservative.
Yeah.
That's very true, yes.
Wisconsin's a red state, which Wisconsin, I understand, is pretty and has a lot to do.
Okay.
I've just done an advert for Minnesota, Linda James, because there has been citizens that have been eliminated by ICE agents. So it seems like there is a news blackout. So the advert that I was called to do is for a person who has got some very good reporting credential behind her. And she's going to be appearing with an attorney who is the author of America's Next Great Awakening. And they're going to be discussing is America waking up or falling asleep. But it's coming from Minnesota. And I thought I'd just mention that because that brief was all about exposing information which seems to be suppressed.
Yeah.
She is going to be giving first-hand eyewitness accounts of what's actually going on.
Okay. Yeah, I'm real interested in that.
So it's going to be coupled with a very experienced attorney. He's got his wits about him, so he knows what he can talk about. In fact, they both very experienced. But I was called upon to do their art graphic for their YouTube broadcast that's coming up. And the Minnesota thing, when you were talking about it, it just triggered that.
Yeah. And speaking of Minnesota, now I'm thinking of Don Lemon, who was with some people that went into a church. And we have history, as previous Jehovah's Witnesses, we have some history where some apostates did what was called Kingdom Hall crashes.
That's what I thought when I saw that.
Right? So those people that have done the Kingdom Hall crashes have spoken up and said, this is not something we should do anymore. And they've said this a while ago. And some have even spoken about it with regret. And I'm wanting to say, and I have said in the past, this is not something we want to do. We do not want to do Kingdom Hall crashes, especially because of what happened in Germany. Okay?
Do you
Unfortunately,
remember? Excuse me, I'm cutting you off, but do you
okay.
remember Zeb? Zeb, he crossed the states and he went in every congregation.
Yeah, I had him over here at my house.
And the difference of laws in each state was different.
Yeah, I think, I attribute to him why Kingdom Halls lock their doors now. Like when people go to the Kingdom Hall late, they've got to knock on the door. There's an elder there that might open it, might not. They get looked at up and down before they,
It's a biometric identification.
The presence of our
God.
Yep.
I mean, it's hectic, Linda James. I told you what happened in Hamburg and how I was connected with that, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But I'm also going back to, because I think Rick Farron was saying, who's been affected on carts? Did you catch that from Rick?
I didn't hear Rick's show today because I was doing flyers.
I'm not putting you on the spot, but I managed to comment. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I managed to comment. I told Rick, I said, I was held up knife point on a cart.
Oh my
And,
goodness.
Oh no, what? Excuse me. Oh no, what?
You know these JW carts where they put magazines in a trolley that goes around?
Oh yeah. Okay. I get it. Yeah. Thank you.
So I was held up at knife point.
Oh my goodness.
Another service overseer was held up with a gun just here, but I was held up at knife point. But I don't know what happens with you, Pete, or Dallas, when you've confronted with something like this. I burst out laughing. Yeah, no, this was my reaction.
I laugh when I'm nervous. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm being held up with a ceremonial knife, African ceremonial knife, and I start laughing, and I resist. This is what I did. I resisted. So I'm going, you're not serious. You having me on. I just cannot believe. I went into the shock thing. I went, no, you're not serious. What are you trying to do? And he took the child I was with and threatened the child.
Oh.
And when that happened, because he knew the only way to sober me up was to take the child. Yeah. So when that happened, it did exactly that. I went, right, whatever you want to do, what you want to raid this, whatever you want to do, you got it.
Yep.
And the community was standing there watching this happen. They said, Matt, why didn't you shout? I said, no, because it was going to put the child or the community into danger. Anyway, he was caught. I'll just tell you, he was caught. But it shows that the public scene has changed. The one service overseer is held up by a gun. The other service overseer goes, no, Matt. No. We have Jehovah protecting us. he and his wife promptly get mugged.
Oh no, that's like
Right,
that.
when, oh no, Jehovah's protecting us. I'm saying you need to take this as a warning. This is a near miss situation. Yes, the perpetrator got caught and got put in prison. I said, but we can't carry on like this. Not with being held up by guns. I had an R4 semi-automatic pointed in my face. They said, we can't carry on like this. So he goes, no, the angels are with us.
I was just going to say, right there, they're behind us. Huge one.
He gets mugged with his wife, straight, same place. After him going, no, we're going to demonstrate how this thing would. It just completely fell on its face. Yeah.
See what happened the second time, or did it? Was there a second time, or are you still talking about the first time?
He got mugged. Well, I'm talking about the service overseer who defied my report. Go, no, because the implication is God isn't with you, Matt. No, you've obviously done something. I'm going to go out with my wife and set up here, and he promptly got mugged. Yeah, he got mugged.
That's called faith. Right there.
Or karma.
Uh-huh.
Because he was implying that I've done something wrong, so what did he do wrong? You know?
Exactly.
That's called choosing to be a victim.
Yeah, Pete. There we go. Well, it's the 7% thinking chocolate milk comes from a brown cow.
There it is. Yes. 7%. Yes. Oh, that's so funny.
But of course, we don't reward competence, Linda James or Pete. We don't reward competence in high control religion. We want to dumb it down, and it's about.
We no longer, thrive on a meritocracy. You get trophies just for showing up. Participation trophies. Yay!
Can I insert myself in there?
Supposed to be. Yay!
Can I say something to you, Matthew?
Come on, Natasha. You're very welcome.
Okay, thank you. You reacted the right way. I survived at least one serial killer. He killed 5 before me, between 18 and 21. And I survived because I went with the flow. I didn't show him that he was hurting me when he abused me. I didn't show anything. He couldn't tell I was hurting. But I don't know how and why. I have the guilty conscience of the survivor. Why didn't those 500 other girls survive? Didn't survive. They were killed, and not me.
I'm needing clarity here. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you were in a situation where someone showed up with a gun and a bunch of other people were killed, but you were not?
It was a gun. Yeah.
And you went to the ground.
I couldn't yell. There was nobody around. I couldn't do anything. So I said, I acted like when I was abused. I was abused as a baby.
Yeah.
Since I was a baby. And I reacted like zone out.
Yeah, I think they call that fawn.
Yeah.
and it's kind of like disassociating. It's actually a very clever survival technique that your brain will do.
So, Natasha, I think you have come to a stage where you're understanding that carrying that kind of guilt and going, oh, well, I survived, is not a failure. It's not a moral flaw. And it's certainly not something that you should have corrected. And it sounds to me, and I might be right, I might be wrong, but after such a trauma, the mind does try to make sense of what was senseless, but sometimes that shows up as guilt for surviving, or shame, or for what was done to us. And that's a trauma response. It's not truth. So it's very important to protect dignity. So nothing, of course, that you've done there, or that was done to you rather, was your fault, and nothing about surviving makes you weak or strong. And if anything, recording these kind of things now in a safe way is able to equip persons to also protect themselves, not be that 7% that thinks that chocolate milk comes from a cow, but to be the person. So survival spaces like this, where there's dignity, where there is street smart, is very, very important, eh?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Natasha.
I agree with him. I do. I agree with him.
Me too, I do.
So this was a mass shooting kind of situation?
I was gang raped one time by black people.
Okay.
And I didn't trust black people for a few years until one black neighbor came to my rescue.
Mm. Yeah, that's an association thing.
The white dude was beating on me in the street. The black dude who was a boxer, a real boxing guy. He was in the leagues and everything. He came down and he punched the dude like heavy. And he knew him. It was his neighbor.
Wow.
Yeah, and he said, don't sleep there. He had a wife and 2 kids, so he sleep in my brother's apartment. And I did, and I was respected and everything. So, and I told him the next day, I told him, you made me believe in every human being again.
In humanity,
and I told him that I was gang raped by 8 to 10 black dudes. And he was so sad. He was so sad. The big dude with muscles and everything. He was so sad. Big Max.
Wow.
That was his name, Big Max.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And and I told him, and he said, Natasha, I understand that you hated us. I said, I didn't hate you. I didn't believe you. I didn't trust you. I didn't trust you. Not hating.
It's an association thing.
Yeah. And it helped me so much when he did that. Oh my goodness.
When I was in my, when I moved from Los Angeles to this county here, Orange County.
Yeah.
I had never been around so many white people in my life. I know I'm white.
No, I know you are with Hispanic people.
Right. Being around Hispanic people, being around other nationalities was what I was used to.
Yeah.
And I could remember I'd be standing at line at McDonald's somewhere or whatever, and I would get super anxious. And this would happen to me all the time. And after a while, I was like, what's making me anxious? And then I realized I would be anxious when I'm standing next to a white man in a suit.
Oh,
long
really?
time.
That sounds like J-Dub, dude.
Yes. Then it took me a long time to figure out I was associating whatever white man was around me in a suit with the elders from when I
Yeah.
was a kid. Yes, it's an association thing.
Holy shit, yeah. So
You
you
know,
were
so
scared, you didn't feel good when you were in the
Yeah.
presence of a white dude in a suit.
right. So it was when I was younger that the elders were mostly white gentlemen. Okay, you know, as I got
Yeah.
older, there would be other nationalities going on in the Kingdom Hall, but so it it took it that the association was from that. You know,
Yeah, but you were so right about them, though.
I was what?
So right about the J-Dubs in suits.
Yeah. So I didn't have a sense of comfort when I was around an adult as a little child. They represented, I'm not even sure what, but it was not a sense of comfort. It was a sense of fear and anxiety.
I
Yeah.
think what you mean is they represented power. Power.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what it was. Power, a symbol of power right there. And also, that's what, and they also to you represented white privilege.
You know
As
what?
well.
You may be right about that. As a matter of fact, I was telling Matthew like about 6 weeks ago, I'm like, I've never had an elder treat me as well as you have. Like it was odd, very odd to be hanging out with Matt,
That's a
And
good
just-
one.
isn't it? It's and you've seen it, you know.
And I
It's-
even Gilbert or Jesse were in that position at one
Mhm.
time too.
Yes.
And Gilbert and Jesse, they're your kind of folks because you understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
Linda James,
Yes.
I appreciate that, and Natasha, appreciate your recalling. You know, I do this thing where I say, well, Apostle Babe is also Apostle Babe. We've got Happy Thoughts Sheila in the UK who said something here to Natasha. Can I read it out? Because I think it's the voice of an apostle, if
Yes,
in a
please.
positive sense. Can I read it?
Yes, please.
Sheila says to you, Natasha, you are among friends who truly understand. I hope that you and everyone here finds support and love that is sent from across the world. Sheila, you exude a spirit or an understanding or a comprehension that many of us really respect and value, because, you know, when someone like Natasha or anybody really comes out very candidly with trauma, that's exactly what it is. You know, some of us, you know, like Pete might just quietly listen, or we have various ways that we respond to it. Some respond outwardly, some absorb it inwardly. But a few things that are very important to hold on to right now is, you know, when there is a shame aspect, not to override the voice, especially when it's a sensitive thing. It really matters, because survivors often keep talking because talking is regulation. I know this when I lost my voice and couldn't get words out because of the sheer trauma. Yes, sure, I had underlying health conditions, but it didn't help that you had elders trying to control narrative because they're trying to save their skins. So it's not because of what you said it didn't land. You get these various responses. The nervous system takes time to register safety, and seeds don't sprout on cue, you know? So if you want to reinforce without repeating yourself, I'm going to try to say something that's an attempt at a soft follow-up line. I'm just going to repeat it, and I hope it comes through respectfully and with dignity. Surviving is not something to feel guilty about. And if that thought ever comes up, it's trauma talking, not truth. I share that with Linda James. I share that with those that I trust, the Apostle Babes, the Sheilas, various ones, the community here, the Petes, the Dallas. If you want to stay quiet, well, that's okay too. Silence can be respectful containment. But what's coming through here, especially in spaces like that, it's actually a model where it's calm, it's non-sensational, it's not fixing present. It's exactly what many survivors never received. Linda James says, she appreciates hearing that kind of thing. And it matters most. I enjoy that. I feel dignified by that. Linda James gets something from that. And it's part of staying grounded or drinking water or naming a few things just so that your body knows here now.
Okay, just say it.
Yeah.
No, I don't need the explanation. I don't need to know who believes in it and who don't. I don't need that stuff. Just tell it like it is, please.
Okay, you think he's kind of like
I
talking
think
about this
he's
and then talking about
introduced.
that and then not getting to the point? Is that how
Yeah,
you're?
I think he's
Okay.
introducing too much.
This is welcome to Matthew. This is how Matthew is.
Yeah,
this is how
that's my
Matthew.
trauma.
Matthew
You don't
talks.
have to give identified it because that's my trauma response. I tend to
Oh, okay.
Okay,
ramble.
I'm sorry, Matthew. I'm sorry,
No,
Matthew.
I
no,
just
not at all.
interrupted some stuff. Excuse me. I was
Not at
on
all,
base then.
Natasha. I sometimes share before the show comes on. I say to Linda James, I said, you've succeeded this week. I've had a terrible week, and I'll tell Linda James why. And she said, do you mind mentioning it in the show? And I said, yeah. I said, I actually re-traumatized myself because I'm trying to fix things.
That's part of the reason
I
I
get it.
got
But
away from doing
what-
YouTube.
Oops.
Is because my the videos I did all involved research, which means spending a lot of time in Watchtower publications, and after a while that kind of gets to you.
Yeah.
So every now and then I would have to back away. But it's kind of funny, Linda. When I stepped away from YouTube, I stepped away. Like I didn't even look at my comments or anything.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Just for fun, the other day I looked at my comment section on XJW Curious and had like half a dozen comments, but they were all from the same video. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? And apparently one of my videos has caught the attention of the YouTube algorithm, and it's getting pushed again. And it's a 3-year-old video. Right.
Interesting.
It's the video where I showed the potential connection between the Watchtower and the Epstein files.
Oh my God.
I don't know
yes.
why that's coming to light again.
You don't know why
Wow.
that's coming to light again? Is that what you said?
I don't know why a video about the Epstein files is coming to light again. But
Oh, I don't know either.
Linda
I
James,
haven't been
can I
following
just
too much in the news lately. I don't know. Has that been a thing?
It
Yeah.
has. It's been a thing, all right.
Yeah. So,
Linda
ahead,
James,
Matt.
I would like to just offer an apology to Natasha, and I'll tell you why. I apologize because I don't always have the right kind of response, but I hear you now.
No, you don't have to apologize. I have to apologize because I asked you to tell me directly what it was, and I should have been more patient and let you go there.
I still apologize.
You shouldn't.
But thank you very much, and I appreciate
And
your
I
presence. I
still
really do.
didn't hear what you say, what you wanted to say, and I'm sad about that because it's just my fault. It's because I interject and I said, "Come on, I want to know," you know.
We're getting to a better space, Natasha. You know, overall, when we zoom out, and I don't know how Pete thinks about this, or Linda James and Dallas. I think you've got a lot more experience with these kind of things. But overall, my intuition is this: I think we are getting to a better place, and there's such fracture. There's such fracture in these institutes. I think people are becoming more aware, and we are getting better at getting to process these things better. That's my intuition. It's my hope.
Let me ask you this, Matthew, and do it if you want to or not. Maybe I'm forcing you, but I'm going to ask you to try again to say what you're meaning to say with her, because what I remember hearing a few points is that don't feel the guilt, don't feel the shame. You don't have to feel that. Like I could tell the place you were coming from was speaking huge. But then when I was saying this is just how he is, then you ended up saying something like, "Yeah, I don't do this because for your reason." And do you want to try again, or am I just pushing?
Like I said, one of the reasons why I come to a place like this is I do recognize that there's good experience. I recognize that Linda James, what did they say? Burning the midnight oil with 6 screens. Somebody said, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Pete, I did see your Epstein video, by the way. I did see it. And it's very current. I mean, I can see why YouTube is locked onto that. But you've also been doing this for a long time. And I do sense that there is an ethical program going on. And that's what I want to try and ground here. I think that there is a sense of ethics that's a lot higher, that's coming with a voice of experience that even an AI is detecting. So what we're doing here is actually very, very important. And I hope that boils it down simply without bloviating, as Rick might say. Sometimes that's the trauma talking. And by the way, I share with you, Linda James, sometimes I am surprised at what triggers me. It might be a ting. It might be when you brought on guests, and to me, I felt like I'd been smacked on the head. I really felt like that. Yeah. And I'm going, why? I can rationalize this. I know the mechanism. I've read the Steve Hassan thesis.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I'm still affected, and I'm going, I have to lie down. I'm crippled for a while, you know.
Yes, thank you for your honesty, because it can very much affect us like this. Taking another, route down JW, walkings can take us back to a place that was, not our best memories, And I use the term, it flushes up. It'll flush up things in us, but it's very much like getting triggered. And the thing about being triggered is much like being in a cult. People that are in a cult have no clue they're in a cult. And the thing about triggers is usually we have no idea, like we don't catch it. We didn't see it coming. And then all of a sudden we're like, holy crap, what just happened here? It affects us like we just didn't see it coming, but we can tell it's affecting us. And then we get to reflect and try to figure out, what is it that I'm relating to? Why am I having this reaction, you know? So yeah.
Natasha, I get a sense of a maternal instinct. You know what? I even get the sense that you're looking after me. Yes, you're telling me the story, but I get the sense that you're looking after me, or you're looking after other persons that maybe seek out videos like this as well. And I go, that's a good thing. I think that's a great thing. Because now it translates your vulnerability to something that strengthens us, you know. I tried to say to like Pete, what are your interests? What's your music interests? Or Linda James, sing us a song or something. Or Dallas, what is it? Your organ music. And it was going, well, maybe we need to translate to a different energy. Maybe we need to translate somewhere else. But maybe not. You know, maybe that only serves for a little while, and we've got to go into something else. I don't know.
No, I got it. I got it, and I'm thankful.
Awesome.
I thank you, Matthew, for the.
Well, it's 3 hours.
It's on point.
There was another gal that I'm familiar with, and it's Denise Hegberg. And,
Yeah.
you know, she's joined me here. She's had her own channel and things. And unfortunately, one of the things that happened to her was she was gang raped as a teenager. And unfortunately, when it came to the attention of the elders set her down and let her know that she was pretty much used goods and that no man was ever going to want her.
Son of a bitches.
Right? So this is blaming the victim or the survivor for what happened to them. Or it's just not true. It's just not true, is what I'm saying. There's this thing about, and it's part of purity culture, of the purity of the female. They must show up in a marriage with the purity, you know. Otherwise, they're not of value, and that goes way back to the history of we were sold to another family to be the property of their son, right? And so we were part of a business agreement, and then we were owned as property. And this had been going on for centuries. And it wasn't until, what are we, 2026? It wasn't until 1920 that changed, okay? And before that, it took 100 years just to get there for women to not be considered property anymore, and for us to have some rights, some human rights, like we get to vote, you know, some things. So there's stuff that goes way back that can affect us. I'm just bringing it up.
Can I talk about that?
Sure.
My first real boyfriend, I never had any, not the first real one, but it was the first one that didn't want to touch me, didn't want to, you know. And he loved me. We were just kissing, and we went to Montreal one night, and I told him, I'm not good for you. I slept with another dude. I didn't say it was a rape. I didn't say it was a serial killer. He left me.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Anyway, he would see that I didn't lose my virginity because I didn't have any. I was abused since I was a baby.
Yeah. And here you were just trying to be honest.
His mom and everybody, they wanted to take me to their home, you know, I couldn't have a chance.
I'm so sorry, honey.
Still bugging me through this day. I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is what came up for you, and I feel honored, and thank you for feeling comfortable enough to share that with us. The way purity culture is looked upon for us women might not be necessarily the truth.
I
Is the reason
didn't
I brought
even
it up.
I didn't even let him a fucking chance to tell me. I told him I did it with someone else.
And you
He
told him
thought,
you're not.
he thought I cheated on him. No, it was fine. That's it.
Did you know that those that have been abused, especially in situations that start extremely young, and I'm not saying this is the case with you, but it's not uncommon for women to be promiscuous as a result because of the way they were conditioned, not because of who they are,
I
but the
know
way
I
that
was.
they were
I
the
was.
way
I
that they were
know.
conditioned, and so it's that wasn't fair to you either, you know.
I wasn't. I became, and for a few years, I was like that.
Which, you know, it's familiar, and that's where affection is associated. So
That's how
you know what I'm saying?
That's how you stay alive.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
how you stay alive.
Yes. And there's something I've done very often is I've managed to sabotage friendships and relationships with partners. And I didn't realize I was doing that until later, when I would look back at it and really reflect on what I did and why, you know. But I just want you to know that I think you're
I know.
freaking
I
amazing.
understand. I know. I understand.
Yeah, but it still doesn't feel
But
good.
I have two friendships in Europe
Yeah.
that I'm keeping preciously. But I can't talk about that to
That's
them.
okay.
They wouldn't understand. They just couldn't.
I just want you to know I think you're awesome people. And I've been very much blessed because of you in my life.
I'm blessed because of you.
Thank you.
Pastor Babe, Linda James.
Natasha. Natasha.
I don't know why it came out like that. I don't know. Usually I can speak it.
Yeah. there's stuff I can usually hang with too, and then one day it's just not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to hang with it, and it's not a good. I chalk it up for not being a good day. But you know what? I find out later that was a good cry, because you know what? Our body releases these certain hormones when we cry, and it makes us kind of calm. So I like to call that watering my roots, and I think you got a
that's
chance to water your roots tonight.
That's a nice way to say it.
Yeah. So it's actually helpful, or it can be. So, are you cool with this? Are you wanting to talk any more about this, or would you like to
No, I'm
be part
okay.
of
Thank
closing?
you.
Okay. So we can talk after the show if you'd like to.
I would like to.
Okay, so stay on after the ending film goes,
Okay.
and we will be able to talk right here, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
So I'm going to wind down on the show tonight, and I was just going to give everybody a chance to say some last comments before we say goodnight. And Pete, would you like to start?
I just wanted to been nice chatting with you. Make sure everybody's still doing well. And not promoting anything, so no plugs to the channel or anything like that.
I'm going to plug his channel. You don't have to.
I'm still alive. So
Yep.
One day at a time, man. Matthew, it's a pleasure meeting you. Natasha, always good hearing from you. Dallas, and you folks in the comment section. Hope everybody stays well and hang in there, man. We've made it this far. There's no reason we can't keep going.
I think you're right. Yeah. Dallas, would you like to say a few things before I close up? Are you there, Dallas? Okay, you're muted. So I'm going to give you one more try. Dallas, I'm going to say goodnight and end the show. Did you want to share anything with us before I say goodnight? Or Dallas might have laid down and relaxed, which is okay. Because he's got his mute button on. How about you, Natasha? Would you like to say anything? Or
You are not the only one who's got a beautiful voice and put everybody asleep. I am in British Columbia. That's the West Coast. And for 11 years. More than 11 years. And my ex from Montreal, I was with him for 17 years.
mm-hmm.
He still called me when he wanted to sleep.
Can
And
I
he's
just come over there and take a nap?
he's falling asleep on the phone.
You know what, though? That kind of stuff is cool, you know? It's nostalgic. Yeah, I think it's a compliment. Whether you let them come over or not, that's another story. Anything else? Okay. Matthew, did you want to say anything before I say goodnight?
Well, first of all, thank you, Linda. You know, that kind of care makes this space different. And to Natasha, you've shared, and your courage tonight absolutely matters. You're not defined by what was done to you. But I also enjoyed being with Pete. Pete, I felt like we had good fun together. I actually felt joy. Dallas, I enjoyed you being on, and of course I enjoyed all the comments coming in. And so for anybody who might be listening or carrying something similar, you deserve support too, please. So you don't have to disclose publicly to be worthy of care. Survivors, they definitely deserve compassion and not judgment. And Linda James, thank you very much for being such a gracious host. And I'm feeling a lot of gratitude to actually all the persons that are drawn here. So thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for showing up here, Matthew. I really enjoy it when you do. I wanted to share a comment from Happy Thoughts. She says, "Thank you so much, everyone. Talking is so therapeutic, even though tears are shed. May I send well wishes and love to all." And she's got some leaves there and some hands in the praying position, and she's got little hand emojis that show the heart. So that's really cool. And Diane Lowe 972 says, "Yes, Linda, I feel we were directed to this chat line. Welcome. I haven't seen you before. I'm glad you're here." She says, "This makes sense." And I don't know what else, but learned so much here. Oh, that's awesome. And she complimented your comment, Matt. And let's see, John is amazing. John says, "Great show." And thank you for joining us, Natasha and Dallas and Maya Patsahabi and Matthew. Thank you, everybody that showed up here tonight in the chat and on the show. And for those of you that end up watching the show later, thank you for showing up as well. This really supports me as well as me being able to support you in your journey of healing. And I just appreciate all of you. And this is truly the highlight of my week. I just want to say thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next weekend. I made an announcement stating that I would no longer be doing the show on Facebook. That was inaccurate. I will keep doing this show on YouTube and on Facebook. So I misunderstood something and put out an announcement that things are going to just keep going the way they have been. So sorry about that, everyone. And next time will be next month. Okay. Good night, everyone. If you got anything out of this video tonight, please like it and share it. And I will see you next weekend. Good night. Holy crap.
I never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can